Good morning, everybody. HHS human trafficking is stopping under RFK Jr.'s regime. Tulsi Gabbard is going on the offensive against Anthony Fauci, and I'm here for it. That MFer killed my mom and my brother. Please, can I volunteer to be the one? If someone has to push a button or flip a switch or squeeze a trigger after he's found guilty by a jury of his peers and he has to pay for his crimes against humanity, please let me be the one to say, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed half my family. Prepare for justice. And I'm here for it. Thank you, Tulsi. Thank you, Bobby. And thank you, President Trump, for putting this team of Avengers together. I'm still frustrated by Pam Bondi not bringing charges against all of the treasonous actors. However, I am recognizing that under the current judicial system, and we saw it before, a couple years ago, some cases came through, and, when you're blocked by the judiciary, there's only so much you can do. I understand that. Still, America has been under attack by these monsters, these demonic Democrat deep state fiends. This is the best chance we've ever had to set things right. So we're going to unpack the news today. Today, Friday, May 2nd, 2025. This is the TNAM AM Show. And my name is Brian Engelman. Thanks for joining us. Let's get into it. Thank you so much for joining. At the bottom of the screen are the places you can find the New American Media. Do a search on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, YouTube for the New American Media. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bells, hit thumbs up, hit hearts. And however you're watching today, obviously hit subscribe, but put your name in and tell us where you're calling from, where you're watching from. I always like to say, where are you calling from? But yeah, we got regulars in Ontario, regulars in Massachusetts, regulars in Florida, regulars in California, regulars in Iowa, regulars in Ohio. We have people all over the United States and Canada. I mean, I know we have regulars other places, but just recently, I love knowing where people are from. And I've been a bartender for a lot of my life, and I consider this to be my bar. Welcome. In fact, to illustrate such a thing, let me show you the graphic that I use for my sports shows. There you go. You're at my bar. You're sitting here. You got to, come on, belly up to the bar. Grab yourself a beverage. I'm having some delicious cafe. I used to drink my cafe with con leche, but now I'm more traditional black coffee, negro cafe. But belly up to the bar, we're going to point at the news things going on, and we're going to talk about it, because that's what adults are supposed to do. They say in a bar, you're not supposed to talk religion or politics in a bar. You don't talk religion or politics in a bar. Well, I always have. I've always just had higher hopes for humanity, I suppose. The name of our show, yes, I know this is the TNAM AM Show that you're looking at, that image, but look at it now. Bam. The Agree to Disagree Show. Bam, back to the TNAM AM Show. So I think what I'm doing is, when I have a guest, I'm going to call it the Agree to Disagree Show. And when it's me unpacking the news with you, we're watching hey, this is, there we go. That's Fox over here. That's CNN. This is MSNBC. That's ESPN. We're just talking about the things happening in the world, and we're going to unpack it together and discuss it together. So I encourage you to leave your comments. I'm going to get a haircut sometime soon. It just gets unwieldy. It's not bad. It's just not great. I might even trim up the old beard. It's springtime. I think your beard's weird, said Machine Gun Kelly. Yes, but follow us in all the places at the bottom of the screen. It's so important that you follow us on more than one place because YouTube, Google has messed with us. 20 years of Google, 20 years of YouTube under. Actually, I don't know when Google bought YouTube. Maybe a couple years later. Let me ask Grok. They did ruin it. When did Google buy YouTube? They did ruin it. I'm guessing 07, 08. But if it's 20 years of YouTube, 06 for 1.6 billion in stock. Wow. Founded February 2005. I mean, but look, just as quickly as one site can dominate, other sites can rise up and take over. That's why we're on Rumble, because YouTube took away our monetization. If you let our advertisements play on Rumble, we get paid. It's like maybe a penny in the wishing well. Drop a penny in the wishing well, please. I won't bore you with the number of thousands of dollars and thousands of hours that I've committed to the New American Media over the past 14 years. But it's significant. A lot of travel, a lot of time. Time is money. The hours that I have to dedicate to learn about the news, deliver you clips that are valuable, condense it together, add some original commentary so that I'm giving you a different perspective, trying to be funny, trying to be motivational, trying to be, I guess, motivational. You know, like William Wallace yelling to rally the troops and go get the bad guys. That's kind of what I've been after for a long time. I'm sick of the bad guys fucking it up for the rest of us. We're supposed to be able to have a nice living experience. And there's a couple of assholes that are always screwing it up for everyone. And I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. I used to say it was like a handful of people. 5% of the community was causing 95% of the problems for everybody else. You mean they do everything? They don't do everything. No, I gave it a leeway. I said 5%, not 0%. I said 95%, not 100%. But it's pretty close to the same 5 or 10 idiots causing all the problems for everyone. So you know what? Lock them up, grab them, get them off the streets. But the blue cities, the blue states have become unlivable. They cater to the dirtbags, the criminals, the violent people, the rapists, the murderers, the thieves, the brown shirts, the thugs, the idiots, the junkies. Oh, yeah. Junkie homelessness everywhere, syringes and human waste. Filth, trash, disease. Awesome. We want to step over that on our way to school. No, we don't. But that's what Democrats are about. The dirty, deep state, demonic Democrats are running human trafficking. They are letting dirtbag, violent people out to keep committing crimes over and over and over. I've been over the past 14 years, I've done roughly 1,800, 1,900 shows. Put 1,800 videos out. Some music, we go to conventions. Some spirituality, we go to those. So like NAM convention or Conscious Life Expo or Politicon, talking politics. A lot of current events, news of the day. It could be wrapped up under like, oh, that's a political show. It's like, no, it's just the news. I'm delivering you the news as I see it. And of course, in your comments, that helps me see other stories that you might want to see. Good morning, David Bann. There's one of our regulars. So I see it like this. I just showed up, cut the lemons, cut the limes, filled up the ice, behind, the ice bins, stocked the bar, wiped everything down, put the chairs down, getting the place ready, open the doors, and here's David. David's coming in for lunch. He's going to hang out for a little bit, then he's going to go pick up his kids in a while. You all are potential regulars here with the New American Media. And that's why I like to know where you're calling from, where you're watching from. David in Ontario is one of our dudes. And this is how I've always treated my experience as a bartender. Am I the fastest? No, I'm not. I don't want to work a service well. And I guess if you're turning and burning just beers and Jack and Cokes, that's one thing at like a wedding. But when everything's a fruity, fancy foo-foo drink and you got to memorize 1,000 recipes that I've learned at 1,000 other places and all of those recipes are slightly different. And I'm like, I can't I'll take a Bahama Mama. Yeah, every bar I've worked at has had a different recipe for that. I'll take this shot that I've never heard of. What the hell is that again? I don't know. But yeah, I could turn and burn in a wedding. Here's your rum and Coke. Here's your Jack and Sprite. Here's your vodka tonic. Fine. You got limited options. I could crush a well like that. But I'm here to engage with you and to make you feel at home. And like I said, try to be enlightening and all that stuff. So follow us in more than one platform, not just YouTube, that was created in 2005 and bought for $1.6 billion by Google in 2006 and then ruined shortly after when they took away our monetization. They don't let our 6,500 subscribers see our content. We have millions of videos, but we can't make $1 off of it. And GD it. I'm trying to build a career doing this. And, you know, it's hard to make a career at something when you can't pay your bills doing it. And Google has definitely become hostile to independent media. They prefer authoritative sources, i.e., deep state bullshit, lying legacy media companies. They can talk about the Ariana Grande shooting. I cannot. My video gets flagged, it gets demonetized, but all of the suggested videos are NBC, MSNBC, CBS, Fox, ABC. They're all covering the Ariana Grande shooting. This was years ago. For example, one that was super obvious to me. I'm not allowed to cover the news. Only they may cover the news because they read off a script and they're controlled. They're controlled. They're not trustworthy. I used to think the media was telling us what was going on, and now I know better. So all of that is to say, don't just follow us on YouTube, please. That's not just to David, that's to everybody. But the places you can follow us are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We're also on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat, TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_, and we had big viewership yesterday on X. Thank you to everybody. That was a huge day. And you know what? We gave you the longest show I've ever done. I was having a good time with it. And when I say a good time, yeah, some moments got me really agitated. And I was in a great mood. But when I clicked on the first story and it was Chucky Schumer telling me how they're going to block the SAVE Act so that we can't confirm that only American citizens are voting in elections. And it's super obvious what the Democrats are up to, trying to overthrow the United States of America and send us into some totalitarian hellscape. Yeah, it boiled my blood a little bit and it set me off a little bit in the beginning of the show. But yesterday, I knew yesterday was the equivalent of about 2 or 3 shows. I had all of my show prep done probably within about an hour of wrapping up the show the day before. But still, from that moment forward, so much news broke. And I had to deliver it to you. I had to tell you what was going on. Like, I can't just ignore it. I'm not just going to phone it in. You know, for a long time, I gave you one show a week. I did the Agree to Disagree show on Friday, and I did the Unhappy Hour sports show on Friday. Then I just started doing things when I found them, and then I was doing Tuesday and Thursday. I was doing some shows with a guy named Blake Wally. You can find him on Eccentric Perspective. His thing that he's doing solo shows now, as I am. It works better for what he wants to do and what I do. And I was doing twice a week. Cool. But then I just kind of said, you know what? I'm all in. I'm so all in. I went to every political convention in D.C. for the Libertarians, Chicago for the Democrats, Milwaukee for the Republicans. Went to January 6th, 4 years ago. I went to, I keep saying commencement, inauguration in January. We were at the D.C. Gulag when the J6 prisoners were released. I've been going these places. I've been doing as much as I can. And I said, forget it. Let's just do a daily show. And so with the exception of Sunday, we'll take the Chick-fil-A route and take a day off. You know, if it's good enough for our God, it's good enough for me. But honestly, I don't consider this work, except for the fact that it consumes all of the hours that I should be working another job so that I can pay my bills. All that aside, this is a labor of love. I absolutely enjoy it. X has been good to us. Rumble has been good to us. So please link up with our accounts over there. And finally, our podcast, like I said earlier, This one is the TNAM AM Show, but you find it saying the Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and iTunes, and that will include the TNAM AM Show. All right? So link up with us there, and if anybody wants to throw anything in our tip jar, we are on Patreon at thenewamericanmedia.com, scrolling at the bottom here, on Venmo at Brian Engelman, Cash App $ Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. So just go ahead and pause or rewind, and you will have that information there. Now, let's jump into the news. This is why you want to follow us on Instagram. You want to follow us on Instagram because we put all of these stories out early, and then we unpack them on the show. It's a really good system. Although I was doing a show not too long ago, and Instagram shut my feed down and made me verify who I was and this and that. And I'm like, this is why I can't rely on Meta. I was starting to make money where I could make a full career at this when we interviewed John McAfee about the Vault 7 data dumps with WikiLeaks. Man, YouTube hated that. I got about 200,000 views in a couple of hours, and they zapped my channel. No more views on that video. They threw it down the memory hole. They're like, yeah, you can have it here. Yeah, it's still on your account. We're not going to let anyone see it or watch it. You can't search for it. It's hard to search for. And no, you're not going to make a few $100 off of it. You're not allowed to make money telling people what's happening in the world. Only ABC, CBS, and our approved gatekeepers can. But I'm still fighting. Maybe I'm stupid. The amount of money I could have made over the past 14 years working a job. But we only get one life this time around. And if I happen to meet a creator, and this is what I told John McAfee at the end of that interview, actually. I said, I don't know. I don't know what's what. And I'm just trying to figure it out to the best of my ability. I said, but I do know this. If there's a creator, and if I happen to meet that creator, I want to be able to look at my maker in the eye and say, I tried. And for 14 years, a decade and a half, I've tried. I've given you guys everything I've got to try to make sense of what's happening and deliver it in a way that makes you want to hang out and watch it. Not everybody does that. And not everybody's honest. And maybe people start taking checks and taking sponsor money, and then they start censoring and they start doing what they do. I just unpack it together with you and let the chips fall where they may. So let's get into it. Stephen Miller on fire, shared by David Harris Jr. He is lambasting the media about how they want to defend criminals, but they don't want to live near them. This is why I fled Los Angeles. It's why I encourage everybody to flee blue cities and flee blue states. Lord, God bless you. If you're going to stay behind enemy lines and you want to live in a place that's completely upside down and backward, I get it. I was there for a long time, and I will always partially love Los Angeles. I hated moving out of there, and I loved moving out of there. Bitter pill to swallow. Really a double-edged sword. Here's Stephen Miller tearing into the people that don't understand why it's important to do what President Trump is doing.
Shame you into covering it. And each and every one of you that sides over and over again with these MS-13 terrorists, to the extent that you have the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offered any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to pay in any of these gang neighborhoods, and I said your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or Tren de Aragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you, with your coverage, are trying to force innocent Americans to have these people as their neighbors, and that one day their daughter may be abducted from their home and raped and murdered. So you're not going to get an ounce of sympathy from this administration or President Trump for the terrorists who've invaded our homes and our country.
Awesome.
He had to shame you into covering it.
Yeah, he had to shame you into covering it and putting those all the signs behind Media Row, all the illegals that have been in our country abusing us. You come into my home, and you're gonna abuse a kid or a girl. You're gonna come into my home and you're gonna steal our shit. Oh, hell no. You're gonna end the lives of some of my friends, some of my community members. Hell no. You're gonna steal from us, start taking free, air quote, free money, because the Democrats have put it together that way so that they can flip America to be a one-party rule. They want everybody dependent. That's their game plan. Everyone dependent, everybody on the take. And so they don't have the ability to stand up and tell the Democrats to get out of here, pound sand, and don't you ever come back again. That's what these illegal aliens are doing. These violent criminal offenders, 30 million opened up at the border from Joe Biden, Mayorkas, Becerra, Xavier Becerra. Keep your eye peeled on him. I bet you he's about to become very famous very soon. Thank you, Stephen Miller. All right, Ron DeSantis is crushing it. I like Ron DeSantis so much more when he's focused on making Florida great instead of bashing President Trump. I don't know what it's like to be accused by a porn star. It's like, bro, circle the wagons. Protect president. When DeSantis decided he wanted to run for president, he started throwing Trump under the bus. And it's like, listen, you clown. They are going to do this to you if you don't defend Trump right now. And he didn't get it. So I pulled out. I bailed on DeSantis. But now everything is kind of simmered down. Ronnie D's back governing Florida, and I like what he's doing in Florida. Graham Allen shares this, talking about President Trump's Department of Homeland Security. What's going on right now during this crisis?
We have both a National Guard and a State Guard who are used to responding to different types of contingencies. We're ready, willing, and able to take it to the next level. We have submitted plans to DHS to say, if this is approved, we will go off to the races, and we will be able to do really from soup to nuts.
Soup to nuts?
From apprehension to detention, even putting some of our people in the National Guard in line to serve as immigration judges to process this, we can do it. And I'd also say, you hear a lot about due process. We have tens of thousands of illegal aliens in Florida at a minimum that have already been issued final orders of removal. And there's hundreds of thousands of them throughout the United States of America. So we have both a national...
So, yeah. Given President Trump's DHS, this is written poorly, Graham Allen, allowing Florida National Guard members to become immigration judges. I mean, you got to go. You got to get this under control. You cannot allow your nation to be invaded, or else you are not a nation. By the way, soup to nuts, according to Grok, is an idiom meaning from beginning to end. I mean, like, I know that, but I was asking why. What does it mean? Covering every detail or aspect of something. Right, I got that. But it originates from the 19th century American dining practice of serving a full meal, starting with soup and ending with nuts as a dessert course. For example, they planned the event from soup to nuts means they handled every part of the process. Weird phrase. But Ron DeSantis is a little weird. He's a little awkward. Leading report shares this. Breaking, former Georgia Democratic House candidate Carl Sprayberry. I've never seen that name before. You know, when I'm reading names from Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or Venezuela with 7 hyphenations, and I'll slow down and I'll try to read it phonetically. And I've never seen a name like that before. That's like not a knock on these places or these people or these names per se. It's just I don't know what to do with it. I could say Joe, Andre, Rebecca, Cynthia. I know these names. Anyway, when it comes to last name, I've never met or heard of a Sprayberry. That is an interesting last name, Sprayberry. Anyway, former Georgia Democrat House candidate Carl Sprayberry, who publicly called for the assassination of President Donald Trump in a social media post, how dare he, has been arrested as part of a sweeping multi-agency trafficking operation. I'm going to type 0 surprise button. Zero surprise button. So yeah, they protest too much. You protesteth too much. These demonic Democrats that are just anti-Trump, anti-Trump, anti-Trump. Well, What are they pro? Mutilating children's genitals and making them unable to procreate or experience orgasm. I'm 100% against that. If you turn 18 and want to have whatever surgery you want with your own money, have at it. I'm fairly libertarian on how we live our lives. But no brainwashing of kids and no mangling kids who have perfectly functional genitals. No thanks. Democrats are in favor of that. Democrats want dirtbags roaming your cities, roaming your streets, committing crimes, not getting arrested and getting dumped back on the streets to do it again, so that they can just cause random chaos everywhere. It's like they get off on it or something. And a lot of these people yelling about Trump the most, oh, they're some of the creepiest people. It's like the good in MAGA offends the evil in them. Yeah, get them all in cuffs, David. Yes. I can't wait to tell you about, I don't know if you were here at the very beginning. I mean, you were here at the beginning, but I don't know if you heard me mentioning Fauci and Tulsi Gabbard. But oh my goodness. Am I excited at levels that I almost didn't know I was capable of being excited at this level. Fauci's responsible for half of my family disappearing and going 6 feet into the ground. You're damn right I want justice. Get them all in cuffs. We know who they are. It's go time. Let's keep it going. Mike Davis issues a warning to the Chief Justice and the federal judiciary. You might want to listen up to this one because we're quickly approaching this constitutional crisis. And you know what, David and everybody else out there watching. Oh, by the way, however you're out there watching, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop your name, drop some comments. Try to incorporate your conversations and jokes and comments into the program. If we just arrested people now and let these judges take care of these cases, you see all across the board in just 100 days, all of the treasonous acts that these idiots are committing. But now we're seeing it. We kind of understand it better. And we're about to find a way to circumvent all of the trolls, the traitors, the treasonous actors who've been installed in places of government to keep the status quo going, to keep the criminality, to keep the treason in the looting of this country and the destruction of innocent lives in a perpetual state of continuance. So it's now time that all of the focus is on the judiciary. They've done it to themselves. They've earned it. We have to talk about it. And Mike Davis is talking about it right now.
I would say to
this is on Real America's Voice.
The Chief Justice, John Roberts, once the federal judiciary loses its legitimacy, it loses everything. The Supreme Court and the lower federal courts do not have an army to enforce its orders. And if the president cannot expel Tren de Aragua foreign terrorists who are robbing, raping, kidnapping, and torturing women and children in this country, the Supreme Court's going to lose its legitimacy. And that's when Congress needs to take a sledgehammer to its jurisdiction.
No, you should take a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. Not a chainsaw.
Its power along with its funding, right? This is unacceptable. This is a red line. These are 90-10 issues. The president campaigned on the fact that
90-10, 90% support, 10% are goofballs.
He's going to secure our border and expel illegal aliens, all of whom are criminals, and particularly
every illegal alien is a criminal. Now, I know of at least one now, not currently. I haven't talked to this person in quite some time. But I made friends with somebody, and they were in the country from Europe, and they overstayed their visa. So they were technically in the country illegally. Now, they're not committing additional crimes, but they are not doing it properly. And if there's a system where people who are here not collecting federal or any money, if they're not on the welfare rolls stealing from your pockets, because that's what it is, it's theft from you. If they're not stealing from you, and if they're not abusing people, and they're not causing wanton chaos and theft and all sorts of crime, yeah, then maybe there's a system that we could use to balance some of this. But 30 million. Think of all the people, the normal people that fled the blue cities and blue states. They had to leave because everything was so upside down during the COVID craziness. Hey, good morning, Kenneth. Good to see you. I said, leave it to Kenneth. I say, hey, however you're watching out there, say hello, type your name. Your name. Thanks, Kenneth. Appreciate that. And I love how Kenneth's name is B2. Because for some reason, Kenneth experienced this. His name, he had to start a second YouTube channel because YouTube refused to let him see the New American Media's content. We don't know why. David, right? I'm sorry, Kenneth. We don't understand why that happened, right? Still to this day, we don't know why. And I'm going, dude, I don't know what. I said, just try starting another account. They just saw Kenneth as one of my regulars at the bar. So they grabbed his license plate in the parking lot and they started messing with him. That's what they've been doing for decades, and we're so fed up with it. So anyway, we continue.
Nicaragua and MS-13.
Yeah, the hardcore criminals are obvious.
Yeah, and if the president can't even get rid of Nicaragua and MS-13, the gloves need to come off of the Federal Judiciary Act. I would say to
the gloves need to come up. Actually, that's what I'll type. The gloves need to come off button. All right. David Harris Jr.'s everywhere these days. Talking about NGOs and HHS, this is the main topic of today's program. We're going to get into it. Bobby Kennedy Jr., thank you for joining the team.
And you may know for fact, I don't know what you can share. But
this is Jaco Booyens. Okay, I've never heard someone named Jaco. I've never seen the name Booyens. Booyah! That was like a Stuart Scott, right, from ESPN?
But it's pretty simple. It's pretty clear that Biden's administration knowingly was, like you said, they weren't lost. I don't even know if you could really say abandoned, because it seems like it was intentional. And if it's intentional, allowing these kids to come over and then delivering them to addresses of people that sometimes are known traffickers, then they were complicit in the whole thing. That's Alejandro Mayorkas, that's the border czar Kamala Harris, and that's potentially even Joe Biden, even though his cognitive...
And Xavier Becerra. He's the one you want to really remember his name. Xavier with the X. Xavier Becerra.
Decline has gotten him out of all the other issues with security clearance documents in his basement. They're going to say, well, he didn't know what was going on, but it sure seems like Alejandro Mayorkas and Kamala Harris, they had to know what was going on.
100%. It was a directive from the top, because through executive order, they instituted not a law, but an executive order that said the following, David. And this is so important. Remember when you and I talked and I said, hey, there's recycled children. Children are coming into the country in Eagle Pass. They move them down further south, and then they send them back to Mexico, and they keep coming back in. Children are being recycled. Why? Because the Biden administration had this
recycled children
executive order that there would be no deportation hearings if a family safe harbored a migrant child. So they trained traffickers and illegals that you have to have a child. Remember, it was first just young men coming over and women, and all of a sudden,
he says young men and women, but it's a lot of military-aged men that could be here for nefarious purposes.
There was this explosion of children coming across the border because the Biden administration literally trained the migrants through Catholic Relief Mission efforts, some of these NGOs that...
Catholic Charities, Jewish Family Services, there's all sorts of fingerprints all across this human trafficking.
Trained them from the Darien Gap and said, with a child in arms, you'll get...
And by the way, Jewish Family Services was awesome to me when I took in a foster kid in Los Angeles. They helped fund, I don't know, it's expensive. It's close to $1,000 if I recall correctly. And I'm like, I don't have an extra $1,000 laying around. And through the through the Child Protective Services or whichever agency I was working with in Los Angeles, they linked me up with Jewish Family Services, who paid for the young man to go to like a school summer camp thing, or like a camp for a week. And that was awesome. But To what degree are these people involved with human trafficking? I don't know. He didn't mention Jewish Family Services there, but I've read it in many other reports. But yeah, Catholic charities, like what are they up to and why?
Get aid, you'll get money, you'll get a bus ticket, and if you safe harbor a migrant child in your home, nobody in the home, nobody, adults that are illegal criminals can be deported.
In your opinion, and you may know for fact, I don't know what you can share, but it's pretty simple, it's pretty clear that
they're gaming the system. They created the system so that they could game the system. Rob us blind, restock all the blue cities that lost all the people they took off during their COVID totalitarianism revelations that people learned, I cannot live like this in a place like this. They needed people there. And with illegal aliens, look, they're giving out Social Security cards, if you can believe that. Social Security numbers. It's been long suspected that they're creating ballots somehow that are counted in our elections from people that either don't exist or people that are not eligible to be in this country.
Biden's administration knowingly was, like you said, they weren't lost. I don't even know if you can really say abandoned, because it seems like it was intentional.
It wasn't.
And if it's intentional, allowing these kids to come over and then delivering them to addresses of people that sometimes are known traffickers, then they were complicit in the whole thing. That's Alejandro Mayorkas.
Yes, this is the beginning of the clip. All right. Let's talk about Elon Musk and Doge. This is pretty cool. A sit down with his team of autists, as people call them.
Balls.
Who is Big Balls is what he says. Who is Big Balls?
That should be obvious.
Why do they call you Big Balls?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username.
Okay.
Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves like super seriously, and they're pretty adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things. So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
Yeah.
So what do you
LinkedIn
do?
is so cringe.
What does Big Balls do?
Right now, I'm working on some payment computer stuff. So one of our initiatives is to root out fraud and waste. And to do that, we started looking at the payment computers. And as mentioned earlier, like there is no accounting of what payments actually go to in the payment computer. So like you look at a specific line item, like $20 million. And you're like, okay, well, what is this money going to? And for the majority of payment systems, it's like, well, we don't really know. And
yeah, like what? That would be the response.
Is this the most basic response?
The Treasury has no idea where most payments go. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most common response.
What do you say when people just say, I don't know?
Well, it's a huge cause for concern because like the upstream thing, which is distributing the money, literally has no checks and no accountability to the actual American taxpayer. So it's a huge vector for fraud, waste, and abuse.
Do these people not respect taxpayer money?
I mean, there's no incentive to if you work in the government. I think the incentives will always decide the outcomes.
Yes.
Do you guys feel like you're putting yourself at risk by doing this? Who's Big Balls?
It's me.
That should be obvious.
That should be obvious. That should be obvious. So this here is Officer Tatum. The Treasury doesn't even know where the payments are going. Guys, like this is absurd. Enough already. Lower our taxes. Stop stealing from us for your pet projects. And stop stealing from us so that you can fund all these weirdos to attack us and attack our way of life, our rule of law, our civil liberties. Thank you very much. Here's Officer Tatum talking with Stephen A. Smith about issues in the black community. This is a great conversation.
It is. Black people cannot exist in America isolating themselves in a cocoon with other black people who, to be honest, hate on them more than white people do. And D.L. Hughley is a perfect example of it. Why won't you uplift your brothers? Why won't you celebrate the brothers that got invited to the White House that won the Super Bowl? Why wouldn't you? because you just don't like Donald Trump. And I guarantee you'll never hear D.L. Hughley say anything negative about Donald Trump before he became a Republican president. That's why I don't have no respect for these dudes. And then I'll tell you this, Stephen A., they don't never talk about the thugs in our community. They never talk about the problems. I mean, consistently talk about the ailments that are in our community, talk about, abortions that go on in our community higher than anywhere else in the country. They don't talk about the murder rate in our community that's higher than anywhere else in the country. They don't talk about the education system that has failed black people. They don't talk about these politicians that put illegal aliens before they put black people. Look at Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Billions of dollars spent on illegal aliens, won't spend a dime on black folks. Look at Barack Obama. He came from Chicago. Can't name me not one policy that benefited black folks.
Hold on. Can't name me not one policy. All right. That's a weird verbiage there, buddy.
Especially not in Chicago. So, but D.L. Hughley won't talk about these brothers. They won't talk about these hoodwinking snake oil salesmen that are acting like they're activists. For instance, Reverend Al Sharpton.
By the way, Kenneth, big balls. My call sign is big butt. No, he said D.L. Hughley, not Hughley, not D.L. Ugly. Although, no, I don't know. I'm trying to think, could I pick him out of a lineup? Doesn't that dude always wear a hat? I think I know who that is.
These people are the most disingenuous individuals I've ever seen in my life. They can go on a boycott of Target, not realizing that there's black people that got product in Target. So why would you boycott Target and in the black communities where black people work at the Target? How about we stop wasting energy?
And they were stealing from our Target in Los Angeles. I mean, what a great asset. It was very close to where I used to live, and there was a big, beautiful Target. Man, I mean, dirtbag junkies panhandling and bothering you and creeping you out in the parking lot and while you're at the light trying to get out of that parking lot. Yeah, lots of theft from that place, raising the prices for everybody else. And then when places like that leave, it's like, oh, you're taking that out of our community? It's like, did your community support that or abuse that? The 7-Eleven around the corner. I mean, the day I saw the dude bust out running with bottles of wine in his hands. Awesome. So you want to run this business out. At some point, places just leave. They go, you're not supporting us. You're abusing us. In-N-Out Burger, the only chain, the only store chain. Sorry, let me rephrase this. In-N-Out Burger, I believe, had its only store closing in Oakland, California because of rampant crime. They couldn't serve the community because the community was trash. Are you saying that certain people are trash? I'm saying that community acted like trash to run that awesome business out of their neighborhood. Yeah. They also ran the Golden State Warriors out. They also ran the San Francisco 49ers out. They also ran the Raiders out. So, yeah, Oakland. Oakland is like Los Angeles, like San Francisco, like Chicago, like New York. Pick your favorite utopian deep state Democrat hellhole. Yep. So, yeah. You got to have some accountability in your communities.
Energy being victims and start supporting black people. Have a march to support black businesses where we spend our money in black businesses, where we put our money in black banks, where we send our kids to black universities. Stephen A., you know why you would never see them do that? Because they wouldn't dare put their money in a black bank. They wouldn't dare send their kids to black universities. And D.L. Hughley and the rest of them won't dare live in a black neighborhood. I'll just say this. Black people cannot.
Man, I went and lived in a black neighborhood. The very first place I owned, a condo in Los Angeles. I'm like, all right. I set up my cable, get my internet, Spectrum or Time, maybe it was Time Warner at the time. I get my, it's like a pamphlet or whatever. I open it up. It's like South Central Los Angeles. I go, oh no. Oh no. After listening to Biggie and Tupac, I move into South Central. Oh no. Oh no. Now, I wasn't technically in South Central. I wasn't technically Inglewood. I wasn't technically Compton. It was right down the road, though. But yeah, it was a black neighborhood. But to me, it wasn't a black neighborhood. It was my neighborhood. The minute I moved in, that was my neighborhood. Oh, you mean you came in to gentrify and take over as a white man to take over your neighborhood? I hate white people. No. Everywhere I go becomes my neighborhood. That's it. And what did I do? Well, did I take? Did I steal? Did I burn shit down? Did I vandalize? Did I destroy? No, I did the exact opposite. I became a very active member of my community, fixing the irrigation system so that the sprinklers would turn on and water the grass instead of having dirt and dust and trashy looking front yards. Oh, and I put drip irrigation systems in to water the plants and set the sprinklers off with timers at 3 a.m. because they had a ban on watering your lawn. So we did it at 3 a.m. 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, just a couple of minutes when the sun won't evaporate all the water so you're not wasting it. It was smart. We did that. Forward thinking. That was me. Because I cared about my Black community. Because it wasn't a Black community. It was my community. And anywhere I live, I want it to be better. So I was a net positive to the community. Not the Black community, the community. There's too much of this Obama doctrine. Separate all the Skittles out and pit them against each other. Oh, you're this, you're that. Arr. No, we painted 24 of 25 buildings while I was there. And I'm sure the 25th was painted recently. But that hadn't been done in 20 years. All the big potholes in the driveways, the asphalt crumbling apart. We ripped it up and poured new driveways. The gutters and downspouts that weren't functioning properly. We ripped them off, put brand new ones on. We added them to the carports where they didn't exist. We fixed them. We fixed roofing. We sealed up all the buildings, got the stray cats out from underneath, got them spayed and neutered so they'd stop multiplying. Because all the cable companies would kick the grates out and run their wires and then just leave the grate open. One mama cat turns into 7 cats and you go, oh, boy. We tented the buildings and treated them for termites. We worked with our security patrol to make sure that our community, not our Black community, our community. When I moved in, the people that looked like me, it was me and the one dude that had an oversized boombox that walked around talking to himself. Those are the only people that looked like me when I moved in. But yeah, that was my community. Oh, how dare you, acting like a colonizer. Go in and take over. Stop with that stupidity. Whichever professors or MSNBC hosts keep pushing that shit at you, reject it. No, we were there to fix problems. You know what else we did? We set up urban gardens so that we had food growing right in the middle of Los Angeles, South Central Los Angeles, on a drip irrigation system. Strawberries, peppers, kale plants 6 feet tall, orange trees, grapefruit trees, lemon trees, lime trees, potatoes, compost piles or compost tumblers, worm composters, all sorts of stuff. Man, we did everything we could to make that community a better place. We installed dog walking stations so you could grab because this community, I can't tell you how many times I watch people pull up, sit in their cars, and just chuck their trash out their window. The world is my personal dumpster. Blah. All right, pal. This ain't your personal dumpster anymore. Oh, it's fine. I'll just let my dog shit everywhere. No. We put in dog walking stations with free bags, with trash cans. We expanded our maintenance team so that we could clean more often and spray down the steps and get all the grime off. We power washed the carports for maybe the first time ever since 1948 when those places were built. We converted the laundry rooms from something that looked like, a sketchy backroom scene from Shawshank Redemption into a brand new laundry room with folding tables, nice countertops, no more rusted out wash basins. We sandblasted that and put a new coat of ceramic coating and fresh paint on them. New floors, new light fixtures, fresh paint, and cubbies. We put in 12 individual cubbies so that all the residents, you got a key and you come down, you'd open up, you could keep your laundry down there. So you did what, there's a lot of older people in my community. There's, a lot of Section 8, and there's elderly and people that can't really walk around with 6 pounds of, it's cumbersome. You could leave it down there, keep it locked. Man, I tried. I gave everything I had. I didn't withhold my participation because it was a black community. I didn't participate because it was a black community. Race doesn't matter at all. It's just wherever I happen to live, that's my community, whether it's in college, out in a big city, or over here in a little city. I try to look around and say, what needs to be fixed? And I try to do it. That's why I do the media. That's why I do the shows that I do. I try to cover stories that aren't being covered properly. I try to, sometimes it feels like most of my day, if not half of my day, is spent sifting through the news to deliver things that I find would be valuable for you, the viewer, to watch. Yeah, I Brianized it. That's a good word, Brianize. That's like ionized. Anyway, but Officer Tatum here said something about the black community. That's what set me off on that little rant. But I just do. I resent all of this hyperfixation on the color, the amount of melanin in your skin. It's so irrelevant. So irrelevant to me.
Not exist in America, isolating themselves in a cocoon with other black people who, to be honest, hate on them more than white people do. And D.L. Hughley is a perfect example of it. Why won't you uplift your brothers? Why won't you celebrate the brothers that got invited to the White House that won the Super Bowl? Why wouldn't you? Because you just don't like Donald Trump? And
I think the segment repeated itself. All right, did you see this? Here's this Maryland man. Bullshit. Illegal alien. Yes. Kill. He has kill in his name. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They've released the body cam footage. Human trafficking 2022. Check this out.
Changes tune because every day another shoe drops on the Maryland dad. He was a suspect in a human trafficking operation dating back 3 years. And Fox Digital just got their hands on the body cam. But you're seeing it here first. Tennessee Highway Patrol stopped Kilmar for speeding and noticed he had 8 other people in the car. All no luggage. Take a look.
Hello, sir. How are you? Good, and you?
All right.
Everything good?
You got a bunch of people here, don't you?
It's 1 for seat. Yes. Go back to work.
Gotcha. Where are you working at?
Where?
Where?
San Luis, Missouri.
Missouri?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm from Maryland.
Where do y'all live at?
Where I live? I live in Maryland.
Maryland?
Yeah, Oxon.
Whose vehicle is it?
What, excuse me?
Whose car is it?
It's to my boss.
Your boss.
It's interesting. So Kilmar Abrego Garcia, he is very chatty, very forward. You see that person sitting shotgun? They are sitting straight forward. They are not looking anywhere. They're just. I bet he told him, "Sit down, shut up, don't say a word." And I notice every time he's asked a question, he repeats it while he gives himself a second to stall. That's a classic technique. I digress.
My boss, yeah.
Where's he live? Where's your boss live?
My boss right now is staying in Maryland, but he lives in Texas.
Okay.
In Houston, Texas.
After talking to Kilmar, the officers had no doubt he was trafficking.
You know what you got here, right? He's hauling these people for money. You got an ass hauler is what he's doing, but sometimes they commingle dope. No, but there's 8 people in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. They put an extra row of seats in there.
Yeah. So he's getting paid to haul these people, probably to Maryland, I would say, if I had my guess.
He said they all work together. That's what he's telling me, but he's the only one that knows that.
So let me ask you this. They don't have any luggage in there, right? And if you get them out, they're going to have a toothpaste and they're going to have toothbrushes in their pockets, I guarantee it.
He's got $1,400 cash in his pocket in an envelope.
So in the video, you can see one of the cops making a phone call.
Nothing wrong with having some cash, but
body cam audio cuts out for 10 minutes. Sources told us that on that call was Joe Biden's FBI.
What?
Which advised police not to detain Kilmar at the time. That source also tells us Highway Patrol called Biden's ICE, and they never showed up. Biden's guys had an MS-13 gangster, suspected human smuggler and wife beater, released into the country. God knows what he did and was never caught for before Trump deported him. Primetime will keep digging and keep you posted when we find more. Van Hollen changes tune because every day
Been waiting to watch this.
another shoe drops on the Maryland dad. He was a suspect in a human trafficking operation.
Anyway, that was the beginning of it. Yeah, it's this. Yeah, the Joe Biden regime will go down. This is the third Obama term. I'm not attributing all of this to Biden. This is all Obama as the puppet master, along with the other. I mean, every regime has their henchmen. But yeah, Obama's fingerprints are all this. But this third Obama term of Joe Biden pretending to play president, I don't think we've seen anything like this in the history of our nation. And heads have to roll politically, and there have to be indictments, and there have to be prosecutions and convictions. Yeah, now Kilmar is now free to kill more. Not anymore. Now he's in El Salvador. That rhymes. Not anymore. El Salvador. Yeah, this is what we showed you.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Operation Lights Out targets online predators, 19 arrests, including human trafficking. What's this? Charges?
To represent Georgia's 139th district near Columbus. Investigators say he and 18 other people tried to reach out to children through the internet.
These are folks who acted. They went to a specific location to meet a child, oftentimes to exchange money for sexual activity. So they acted. They didn't just look at it, they acted.
Officials say boys and girls were targeted through social media apps and dating websites. Authorities confirmed no children were harmed.
Everybody know ain't no party.
Well, no children were harmed that you're aware of.
This sector,
Thanks. To all the people that say, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and, Kristi Noem and all, the Trump team aren't doing anything. They are doing some things. And I don't know what they're working on behind the scenes. Bongino, Patel, I don't know. But they are doing some good things. So let's be thankful for the good things that are happening. This is more with Elon Musk and Doge members.
Nonprofit to give 80 to 90% of their money to grantees. In the case of IAF, that was 58%. So the other half goes towards management, travel.
What we're define exactly? I mean, to Ethan's example is that. Even if you agreed with supporting alpaca farmers in Peru, actually most of the money never made it out of D.C. Mm-hmm. It's going into the pockets of people in the neighborhood.
What percentage
didn't even get to Peru?
Right. So what percentage do you think doesn't even get to the destination it's supposed to?
I believe the GAO estimate, so this is not our estimate, I believe it was on the order of only 10 to 15 cents on the dollar actually gets to the end recipient, whether you agree with that cause or not.
So they're just stealing the money before it even gets anywhere.
There's layers of stealing.
You know what layers of stealing looks like? 10% for the big guy, 5% for the little guy, 5% for the little guy, 5%. Everybody reaches in and grabs it. By the time you're done, it's like passing. I used the analogy the other day about a chain of human people kind of linked up by each other with buckets of water, and they're dipping it into a pool and they're passing it along to dump it on a house to try to put out the fire or something. But imagine everybody takes a drink from the pond or whatever water source you're using. Let's imagine it's drinkable water. Everybody takes a drink. By the time they get it, it's gone. I think I saw a Little Rascals one where they were doing firefighting, and they're sloppy with the water buckets, and it's a big bucket, and they're all these little kids, and they're sloshing water around. So they're taking it, and by the time they get to the end, there's no water in it because it all spilled out along the way. That's what's happening with Doge.
So there's the first
specifically. Let me clarify what I meant there. That's what Doge is saying is happening with all this NGO money laundering. You donate this money, you donate $1, you're lucky to get 40 cents to the place you're sending it. It's probably more like 5 or 10 cents. You're lucky to get anything out of it. So how much of that merely exists to money launder and keep these dirty schemes going on. I mean, starve them of it and let's see. Starve the revenue.
First layer of stealing, second layer of stealing, third layer of stealing.
Yeah, it's percentages for the big guys, taking sips of the water before they pass it along.
Subcontractor,
You start peeling the onion. Yeah, exactly. Contractor, subcontractor. It's like peeling an onion. And then maybe, and sometimes it's zero.
Subcontractor. Hamburger.
Just flat. You get.
Yeah, there's a question of the day. What is hamburger? Or is it cheeseburger? Or is it hamburger? What is that from? Question of the day.
To the bottom of the onion, there's nothing there.
So maybe no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
It's possible that no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
This sector, a non-profit.
Yeah, the deep state Democrats are money laundering masters, I typed. It's time to starve them of their dirty money to stop the dirty tricks.
The fact that some people aren't outraged about this is mind-boggling.
I don't think this is the same quote, but let's double check.
To me, watch this.
And by the way, Bandello here, the comment, at this point, I want to hear arrest. It's over 100 days now and still no actions. I agree.
What has been the biggest resistance?
A small agency called the United States Institute of Peace. Just a few hours after we got
United States Institute of Peace. Well, how could you disagree with the United States Institute of Peace? We want peace, right? Of course we want peace. Hello, Bella's Chance. Yeah, we got Kenneth in Florida, Bella in the, what did I say? In the Bay? Where do I say Bella? It's not Chesapeake Bay. What did you say was the Cape Cod? Is it Cape Cod? Is that the right way to say it? Bella in Cape Cod, Kenneth in Florida, David in Ontario, everybody. I love this. For those of you joining, I was saying, and I could switch my background again. I only did this to illustrate the point. I've been Brian the bartender for a long time. No, it's not McDonald's. You thought the Hamburglar would say that? No, it's not from the hamburger. Hamburger, cheeseburger. What is that from? Question of the day. But yeah, if you're just joining, I was saying that like I consider myself the bartender, Brian the bartender. You're the customers sitting at the bar, and we're discussing the stuff on the TV. That's what I consider this to be. So it's like, David comes in, Kenneth shows up, Bella shows up. Now it's like, now all the regulars are talking with each other. We're all having a good time. I love this. I love Restream. I love talking with you guys every day. I really do. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, just a little point. I think I will switch my background, though, to give it the... I haven't used this background. Well, let me see. Not that one. How about... I do like that one. This one's good, too. This one's... it's okay. I used this one for a while. This one's okay. I think I just kind of like keep settling on this. We'll stay with this one. All right, side by side. Let's continue on here.
Into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over 1 terabyte of accounting records from several years. So,
yeah, U.S. Institute of Peace, they deleted 1 terabyte of info, but guess what?
You'd have to ask the question, well, why would somebody do that? And they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban. This is real.
What was the money going to the Taliban for?
Paying a Taliban member, former Taliban member. But then again, are you ever a former member? Can you be a former member of MS-13? I tried to get out and you sucked me back in.
So it was a contractor. They received $130,000 for generic services. And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. They received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight. And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and the private jets. In this case, we did refer the evidence in the accounting example to the FBI and DOJ.
The fact that some people aren't outraged about this is mind-boggling to me. Watch this.
All right. So, yeah, Taliban members and deleting info, but they got it. I mean, I am so ready to unwind this ball of yarn and figure out where all this corruption has been going. I am super excited.
So it was by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with.
Yeah. Well, this is a longer... I'll just skip past this. You can check out the whole video. This is a 3-minute clip here. But yeah, the data was recovered. Evidence was referred to the FBI and the Department of Justice. Institute of Peace had a 130,000K contract with former member of Taliban, deleted 1 terabyte of information in accounting records when Doge entered. So, yeah. Time for arrests. Yeah, this is the same clip I had. I guess it's probably the same one. I'll skip past this one. Officer Tatum. Yeah, hey, does anyone else have this same vibe? Let me go to the other screen so the aspect ratio fits. There you go. Boy, oh boy, do I love being the on-air talent, the host, the producer, the engineer. I love running all the things. It's okay. It's okay. I can do it. I sort of like it, but man, I would love to. I would like working with a team. Kind of help with this so that I don't have to keep going back and resizing. Someone else could always be resizing in the background, but it's okay. All right, Joey Manarino. David thinking that that they purchased drugs from the Taliban. Now look, I had a conversation about a military member from the United States who came back from the poppy fields and said, bro, we're out there risking our lives defending poppy fields. He's like, the Taliban, we're trying to stop the opium production. The United States came in and said, ramp it up. We're selling it. We need that money. So who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? You know, the poor service members that are trying to do the good thing and work with the United States, but the United States is controlled by the deep state who have really demonic agendas. Who's good? Who's bad? I don't know. Maybe it's heroin. Yeah, it was the poppy fields. I had a long conversation with this dude about it. He's like, I patrolled these poppy fields. I could tell you anything you want to know about it. Like, that was my job for a while. And I was like, oh, God, this is bad. All right, Joey Manarino here says, oh, here's a good agree to disagree question. I need to do a little bit of work to my graphics here. Once again, if I didn't have to do all this, someone would put it on the screen, but I'll do it now. Do you agree or disagree with Joey Manarino? Joey Manarino says, Marco Rubio is clearly the cabinet member that President Trump views as the most competent and effective in matters of foreign affairs and national security. He's got 4 roles right now and is executing at a high level in every single one of them. The man is just blowing my mind with the pace he's keeping, the loyalty to Trump he's showing, and the way he's actually getting results. Who would have ever thought he'd be this good? Do you agree or disagree? Marco Rubio, clearly the cabinet member Trump views most competent and effective for foreign affairs and national security. Yeah, Marco Rubio, he's coming out very aggressive with his words. He's articulate. He's getting it done. You know, I'd be careful with someone like that who I viewed as more maybe deep state aligned. You know, never thinking that President Trump's out of the woods with the whole Butler stuff. And once again, dear Lord, Heavenly Father, Supreme Architect of the Universe, or Grand Architect of the Universe, Supreme Being, Divine Force, whatever you call it, continue to keep your angels on watch to protect President Trump and his entire team and family from any evil, and may you bounce back any evil efforts upon the perpetrators tenfold. Amen. So I'm not fully. I can't feel fully trustworthy of Marco Rubio. I do feel like he is a deep state player. I guess everybody is to some degree, and even President Trump has to play ball in some regards. But I think Rubio's been impressive. There you go. Bella's Chance says, definitely, I agree. Although I initially had serious doubts as to his loyalty. And like I said, the jury's still out. I'm not going to just kick back and go, all right, I want to keep a close eye on Rubio. I don't, not that I mistrust him, but he's probably the most deep state connected person on the cabinet. Could we agree on that? That's probably fair to say without disparaging Rubio. Kenneth, little Marco. They said, sir, what do you think about Marco Rubio? And I said, he went from being a rube to being a Rubio. From Rube to Rubio. But yeah, Rubio's crushing it. Big kudos to him. High marks, high regards.
Vote is.
Okay, yeah, I can play that.
Vote is.
So here's a vote. Democrats in California just can't stop selling out their residents. One of the many reasons I left. They just voted on and passed a bill allowing Gavin Newsom's donor to bill California residents an additional $290 fee per year on their electric bill.
4-0, the item passes.
With that vote, the California Public Utilities Commission, or CPUC, approved a plan allowing major utility companies in the state, including PG&E, SoCal Edison, and San Diego Gas and Electric, to impose a fixed charge on most of their customers' monthly utility bills. Specifically, the plan includes a new flat fee of $24.15 per month, coming out to about $290 per year.
Vote is 4.
The change in new yearly fee goes into effect late 25. When will people in California finally stand up and say that enough is enough? For real. Energy prices are stupid. Stupid. Energy and water prices are stupid. I get paying a little bit for some service, but like, this is stupid. And when you learn about Tesla and the free energy and Edison and like, we've got to do better on this planet. We have got to do better on this planet. I hate how we're I don't know. I just, it doesn't have to be this way is what I'm saying. Yeah, how does this Gavin run free? California seems to have turned into a real hellhole to live in. Man, you know, I hung out with my great uncle, and you know, we called him Uncle Cal. Uncle California is what we called him. We met him at a family reunion in Pennsylvania, going in from Ohio. He lived in Southern California for many decades, and he talked about how great California used to be. You know, the traffic wasn't bad, the pollution wasn't bad, the crime wasn't bad, and it's just things have just gone downhill since the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Like, just decade by decade, it gets consistently worse. It has really turned into a bit of a hellhole. But it's one of the most gorgeous places on earth, and I still want to save it. But you have to pass the SAVE Act and make sure that you're not allowing illegal aliens to get Social Security numbers so that they can rig the system, so that they can create a ballot, so that the ballot can get delivered, so that the ballot can get counted, and that a couple of blue cities can carry a bunch of blue states that are completely red aside from these big blue cities. They just know that's where the population density is. So if they can get as many votes as possible from legal or illegal people by hook or by crook, from soup to nuts, from front to back, they don't care what they have to do. They just need enough votes to continue turning into a one-party state. Remember, Nixon, Republican, came from California. By the way, Nixon was completely framed and set up. The whole Watergate thing, Obama made that look like child's play. And I'm still waiting on the indictments for treason from Obama with the Steele dossier and the wiretaps, the FISA warrants, Perkins Coie, all of it. Anyway, Shane Morgan puts this out. 96% of media coverage of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Hey, remember on yesterday's show when we did that piece from Newsmax? And I forget who the anchor was, but he's like, you know, I don't understand it. Someone's telling a news story and then they go all into hyper accent mode when it comes to somebody's name. What would that sound like? That would sound something like 96% of media coverage of Kilmar Abrego Garcia is positive. 96% of media coverage for Elon Musk is negative. One man was an illegal gang member and the other man is exposing government theft. So telling. I'm going to say disconnect from the old American media button. You don't hate the media enough. Disconnect. Rapid Response says President Trump just signed an executive order ending the taxpayer subsidization of NPR and PBS, which received millions of dollars from taxpayers to spread radical woke propaganda disguised as news. Thank you, President Trump. Listen to this. Here's the wife of Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
It's been
50 days. 50 days of pain and suffering. 50 days of uncertainty. And as we finally saw the proof that Kilmar was alive, my children and I had to watch Trump and Bukele's administration.
That's my children and I, not our children. That's not his child, not his children.
Laugh over pain.
Came to fill out a protective order.
This is allegedly a voice recording of Jennifer Vasquez-Sura. If you're missing the context of yesterday's episode, I'm really sorry, because it just sounds ridiculous what I'm doing. But this is what I've noticed the media does. When you see it on CNN or MSNBC, they'll tell you the whole story. They'll go through the whole piece until it gets to someone's name. And they'll tell you, funny how the story changes so fast, huh? Someone needs to check her bank account ASAP. I smell BS. Watch the entire thing. Here's the alleged audio from Jennifer Vasquez-Sura, wife of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. You could just say Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Thought the like the over-the-top accent, but I digress. But here is allegedly the voice of her from August of 2020 talking about, oh, this wonderful Kilmar.
I think it was in December. But I didn't show up to the court because his family washed my brain telling me that his dad was sick and not to do it. So I didn't do anything. But after that, it was I would call the police. I have a lot of police reports, and I kept trying to get to the door basement to try to open the door, and then he pushed me. So then when I was able to go outside to get a phone, I called 911 from a disconnected phone. Now they took a long time to get to the house. It was probably 20-30 minutes. So I saw a neighbor walking his dog, and I opened the door and I was like, help. And then when he heard me, he grabbed me from my hair and then he slapped me. And then the neighbor, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to react. I have pictures of the evidence, all the bruises, because even on Wednesday, he hit me around 3 in the morning. He would just wake up and hit me. And then last Saturday for my daughter's birthday party.
Hold on. He would just wake up and hit you? This is someone the Democrats are hoisting up as a hero?
Before I went to my daughter's birthday party, he slapped me 3 times. And then last week I did call the police. My sister called the police because he hit me in front of my sister.
It's been 50 days.
So Kilmar is actually a really bad hombre? Huh. It's almost the opposite of what the media keeps telling you. Yep, Trump signs executive order to halt federal funds to NPR and PBS, says we are Breitbart. This is the video. I believe I shared this earlier. Yep. Maryland dad, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, running human trafficking for, what do they say, 8 people in the vehicle? This is who Democrats are supporting. Destroy the Democrat deep state party. Never vote for them again. Thank you very much. So California is not just raising your energy prices. They're making it more likely that your kids are going to be abused. Democrats hate you.
Sex trafficking. Democrats today again rejecting another push to make it an automatic felony to purchase or solicit a 16 or 17-year-old for sex.
Not only did Democrats block this latest attempt to ramp up the penalties for the buyers in the child sex trafficking industry, they also sidelined Sacramento's Democratic Assembly member Maggie Krell, who has made this her life's work. Democratic leaders
and if Maggie Krell was a different name, they'd say Maggie Krell.
Promised to keep the conversation going, but they're leaving Krell, an expert, out of it. After an hour of closed-door planning, Democrats emerged with a deal that stripped Sacramento's Democratic Assembly member Maggie Krell from her own bill that tries to crack down on the consumers of the child sex trafficking industry. She originally proposed the automatic felony for the older teens this year.
I mean, you could crack down on the consumers. You can also crack down on the providers, right?
Noting state laws are inconsistent for the trafficker and the buyer. But that piece blocked by the Public Safety Committee earlier this week.
You want to stop human trafficking and little girls being put up and down these streets? If you want to really stop that, You arrest tricks. You arrest who demands it. You don't arrest who sells it. Because whoever sells it, they cannot sell it.
Are they businessmen?
Unless the person that buys it.
That's the problem too.
Back on that this debate is going to be ongoing until potentially that felony is put in there, but we'll see.
And we really should point out the urgency with this, that children 16 and 17 years old are being victimized every day that is happening.
Never vote Democrat ever again. They defend all of the worst people. We are in a constitutional crisis. This is Real America's Voice. So who are they talking to here? What's this guy's name? J. Carroll Politics, maybe? Let's see if they put his name up.
You're welcome. Thank you. And what crazy times we're living in. I believe that we are in a constitutional crisis right now. And I believe Donald Trump is going to have to pull an Andrew Jackson and tell the Supreme Court and the judiciary to go pound sand. And if they don't like it, then try to enforce it against me. And I believe that's what's left. I think we're about a month or two away from him having to pull that card and throw it down.
Are you surprised, JJ, that this Trump-appointed judge,
it's J.J. Carroll,
ruled against him regarding the 17?
I might have actually been on this guy's show on the left. I don't recall. I was out in the Bronx reporting for Real America's Voice. I remember there were like 3 ladies. Maybe there was a guy. It was hard. It was bright. I had earbuds in. I was trying to get the feed from a phone. I'm trying to work with the camera and the microphone and there's a lot going on. I don't know if I was on this guy's show or not. I was on with Jack Posobiec, and then the next show, and then they used like 3 or 4 of my clips for Steve Bannon's program in the evening as well. Sam Adams. Oh my gosh, Sam Adams. Dude. Come on in. Come on in, Sam. Oh my gosh. Sam Adams. Wow. Larry, I haven't seen you in a long time. God almighty. So, here, Sam, grab a seat. Belly up to the bar. Meet some of the regulars, David and Kenneth and Bella and everybody else. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Good to see you. Yeah, Larry has been, Larry the trucker. Larry used to call into the show all the time. I remember when Blake was doing Eccentric Perspective on the Freedomizer Network, and I would call in occasionally, and I'd sit and listen to the show just like you guys, and I'd type comments, and we'd go back and forth and have conversations about the news. While I was working another job, I had this going on. God, a lot of good times. Larry, haven't heard from you in a long time. It is great to see you. Thanks for the kind words saying this is a good show. I try to put on a good show every day, sir. Thank you so much. David saying the whole city council should be arrested. I concur. It's madness that you're not going to protect a 16-year-old from a monster, but I digress.
1998 law?
No, I'm not. Because the judiciary has usurped power they don't have, and they think that they can override the executive branch of our government. It's insane. Some dude in a black robe has more power than the president of the United States. It's absurd. The hoops that Donald Trump is having to jump through are insane. That's why I believe he's going to get his back pushed up against the wall, and he's going to have to announce we're in a constitutional crisis. I need to get these 50 million illegal aliens out of our country as they're killing, murdering 40 American citizens every single day, not to include the rapes, the child sex trafficking, and everything else that these illegal alien savages have done to our country. We are either going to get them out of our nation, or we are going to feel pain for years and decades to come.
I agree with you. I mean, it seems that the ruling says that, okay, we're not in wartime, so the president can't just say it's wartime in order to use the Alien Enemies Act.
30 million illegal alien invaders of military-aged men. That's absolutely wartime. Are you out of your mind? Who could possibly say that?
But if he designated Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization, then aren't we at war with them to some degree?
Well, not only that, you're absolutely correct. Stephen Miller came out and said, look, all the intel agencies have already come out and said, yes, Maduro emptied his prisons and jails and sent those savages into our country with specific orders to cause chaos and destruction. Act as if Venezuela is our friend. It's like Mexico's our friend with the cartels, or the MS-13's our friend. We need to wake up and realize the Democrat Party and the left specifically hate America. And I always say this when I'm being interviewed. If you don't like that conclusion that I have, then tell me what the hell these people are doing. Why are they siding with MS-13? Why are they siding with all the criminal aliens? Why are they siding with the illegality of America and not with the American people and the citizens that are that believe in law and order? And the answer comes back. They hate us. They want to fundamentally transform the most racist nation on planet Earth. Their words, not mine. You're welcome. Thank you. And
U.S. judiciary needs an enema immediately. That's my comment. Yeah. Hey, check out a little bit more information about what Florida's doing to go after the dirtbags.
Busting an international child pornography ring.
Thank you.
We will be bringing charges against 8 individuals
Charges against 8 people. Kenneth, nicely said. I'll have a Sam Adams and a frosted mug, please. Well played. Well played.
this morning, 7 of whom are Florida residents. As a dad of 3 little ones, it's tough to talk about some of this stuff, but what these guys were doing was truly heinous. There's not a word in the English dictionary that can describe the gross content that was on the videos.
Yeah.
Our investigators.
I couldn't do it. I've had to see enough awful stuff that I can't unsee covering the news. Really, God bless anybody that has to look at that stuff in order to make prosecutions, and that's got to rewire your brain and cause PTSD. And to just know that some people, whether it's the Anthony Weiner laptop allegedly, or whether it's the stuff they found on this, demonic isn't even the right word. It's so much worse than that, actually.
Have been able to get their hands on over 1 million videos showing sexual abuse on minors. Many of these individuals were babies.
That
are being
babies. Oh my God. I can't even.
Sold around the world. The 2023 National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reports over 36 million instances of suspected child sexual exploitation and over 100 million files related to child sex abuse material. And that's only what's getting reported. This continues to be a problem in our country, in our state. Protecting our kids is not an easy task to begin with, and today, with the access to the internet and social media, it allows these sick predators to more easily get access to our kids. And as I've said, my first 5-6 weeks on the job here, that's going to be a major priority for my office. The individuals that are being busted today that purchase this harmful content, many of them found it through TikTok. It was available online. They found access to a portal where they could purchase this dangerous material. TikTok has shown they can very quickly get stuff off their website. If there's unlicensed music or something going around, they've proven with a flip of a switch they can.
Thank you. And that's my point exactly. They're too aggressive with if there's music going on with the Recording Industry Association of America, the RIAA, ASCAP, BMI, the agencies, the management companies. Oh yeah, we'll scan and sort for all the music and we'll shut it down. Don't shut it down. Just slap a little label. Hey, click here to buy the song if you like it. You're not re-airing the World Series to keep eyeballs off of the real channel. Like, you're just sharing something that happens to have music in the background as an incidental component of the video, not the main feature of the video. But yeah, he's making the point, like, they've proven to be really good at taking music down. Why can't they be really good at taking this disgusting filth down? Bella's Chance asking, what is it? 8 policemen who committed S in New York after viewing Hillary's videos. There's a lot of allegedly and asterisks. It's a very frazzling case. I don't encourage anyone to go down that rabbit hole because unfortunately I did. And it changes you. And that's why I fight. Because if this stuff is out there, regulators, mount up. Go get them. But yeah, Bella, that is allegedly the story as well. Anyway, he's saying that it's easy to take down music. Why can't it be easy to take down this filth?
Can get it off, and it's taken too long for them to get some of this pornographic material and avenues.
And by the way, it's been said that Elon didn't buy a social media company. He bought a crime scene with all the stuff that people were sending and doing in the dark parts of Twitter when Democrats had control, because by and large, there's a lot of gross Democrats. That's why they go after the good guys so often.
To purchase harder, more gross content, we've got to get them to be more accountable. So we will be working on that. We are going to hold social media companies accountable that want to put our families and our kids in jeopardy. So today, these 8 defendants are being charged with multiple felony counts, including RICO, money laundering, and purchase of child pornography. Again, I can't tell you in words how gross this content is, but
all right, that might be the beginning of the video again. Thank you. So Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer, and I'm sure they're working with the FBI, like with the federal government. So thank you for doing this. I desperately want to bring back public executions for people that are, there's no recidivism. You don't, it's like, oh, we were both drunk and we were out and we were partying and we went back and had sex, and maybe the next day there was like next day regret, and it's like, oh, did we do that? I can't believe I did. Oh man. And then, make accusations, but it's like you were willingly with a person and having a good time and you both had a good time. That's like, I don't know. That's that, there's like lunging out of the bushes and grabbing someone to take them behind an alley and abuse them as an adult. And you're like, oh my God, if that was somebody I knew, I would flail you. I would peel your skin off alive. I would cook you alive. I would, whatever it took. I can understand the rage in somebody if they had to avenge someone. By the way, which is why it's so personal, the Fauci story that's coming up in a minute with Tulsi Gabbard and gain of function and releasing COVID and perhaps potentially intentionally. They killed half my family. What do you think the limits are in my brain? Where do you think there's any bounds I would not go to make sure that the people responsible are held accountable? Maybe they have to feel a little bit of what I feel every day, what my brother's widow and daughter feel every day, like what my mom's husband feels every day. Like, so I'm just getting to that, not to dwell on that story. It's just, you guys have all heard it, especially the regulars. But, it's one thing to be out and you have sex, and then maybe the next day it's regretful from one party. And it's like, oh, then they'll make an accusation. It's like, you guys are hanging out for 7 hours, having a great time consensually, and you both participated consensually. And now after the fact, you're having regrets about there's a he said, she said component. And, there's probably plenty of times where, but you don't accidentally abuse a baby. You don't, one thing leads to another. There's no leading to another, jumping out from the bushes on an adult. And there's no one thing leading to another with a baby. Straight execution once found guilty by a jury of your peers through our legal system. Straight execution. It should be public. Maybe make it quick, maybe firing squad or by hanging, whatever. Maybe it doesn't need to be something out of Game of Thrones, really torturous stuff. But it should be public execution as an example, and say, hey, if anybody wants to ever try this again, here's a reminder. We'll actually just let him hang here for a while. Because if there's any dirtbag in our community, you might want to go to the next town over because we're not tolerating it. And that's what you've had a lot. A lot of smart people fled blue cities because they're not protecting the people in those cities. They're not protecting those people in those states. They're letting the criminals, the predators, run wild and free. Yes, Kenneth, you did catch that. That is exactly what I was getting at. Can't even talk about it, though, because if you talk about it, your video gets censored. Why? Because the dirtbags run the channels. Google, YouTube, Meta. So who are the demons? Yeah, maybe that's why YouTube doesn't like my content. Maybe that's why they stripped me of monetization. Maybe that's why they don't let our videos get shown to people. We get 10 times the views. It just depends day to day. We'll get 5 to 20 times more views on Rumble with 100 subscribers, 200 subscribers or something, compared to 6,500 subscribers on YouTube. They just don't show our content to people. Even though David tells me every day, he's like, actually, I haven't seen David comment in a while. Is David still here? Oh, no, there's David. Okay. The whole city should be arrested. David was saying that he's getting the pinwheel of death, like it's a loading error on YouTube, which is why I say, everybody, please get on X. Please get on Rumble. Those are like 2 of the only free and fair platforms. I do have to pay to use X, like $7 a month to stream through it. I'm not currently set up for monetization there, but we are on Rumble. If you let the ad play, it's like tossing a penny in the wishing well. And you can do super chats there. You drop a super chat and it pops a message up and it gets to stay there for a while. Or they don't call it a super chat. They call it a rant. Yeah, for as little as $1, you can put a rant up that'll stick for 2 minutes. But yeah, Elon didn't buy Twitter. He bought a crime scene. Why does Google, YouTube hate me? It's because I hate evil. I kind of think they're evil. And a lot of you are just watching us on YouTube, which is fine. I get that YouTube is a superior platform a lot of the times, and I get that Rumble can be glitched. I get it. But coming from a guy that's like had my channel shut down and I can't even communicate with you on those networks, if that's the only way to find me, you guys are, I will be disappeared one day. Hopefully metaphorically. Hopefully metaphorically. Because I have been already. Meta deleted my channels, deleted my personal profile, deleted my groups. No opportunity to remedy any alleged issue, no specificity, pinpointing any particular thing that was wrong, no opportunity to mute a segment or trim a segment and just leave it alone. No, just punitive measures and no opportunity to talk to a human. I don't like that. That's Instagram, Facebook, Google, YouTube. So that's why I so heavily push Rumble and X. All right, so let's check in on Germany. Oh, it's bad. Europe is bad.
You a little bit of breaking news coming into us from Germany. The Reuters news agency is reporting that the country's domestic intelligence agency has classified the Alternative for Germany party as an extremist entity that threatens democracy, a move that enables it to better monitor the party.
Threatens bureaucracy.
Which came second, of course, in February's federal election.
So my understanding that AFD is more like the MAGA movement, and now they're being lambasted and demonized by the dirty deep state. Shocking. Europe has been infiltrated and invaded. Will Europe rise up in a revolution to kick these invaders out and to kick these criminals out? Or are they just toast? Are they gone forever? I don't know.
Now, they go on to say that certain factions of the AFD, such as its youth wing, have already been classified as extremist, but the party of...
Extremist. Yeah, for liberty and sovereignty instead of globalization and loss of freedom.
Large was also classified as a suspected extremist case in 2021, but now the domestic...
Extremist. That's such a vague bullshit term.
Intelligence agency in Germany is classifying the AFD as an extremist entity that...
The party's becoming popular, so they're banned. That's what they did to Trump.
Threatens democracy.
Well, you know what? I'm not here to say anything about that guy from the 1930s. That's not, I don't have an interest in that. But I am saying this. Germany's going to need somebody to stand up to defend that nation from the overthrow, because it appears to be lost right now. And if you wonder how you get to certain places, you look at moments like this. You ban the opposing party. That's what Zelensky did in Ukraine. Not good. It's what the deep state tried to do to Trump. Not good. Not good. Here's President Trump during this interview from a day or two ago.
Doubled, and well, eggs are down 87%.
As we reported last week, the national wholesale price for a dozen of large white eggs has gone down. Last Friday, it was about
gone down what?
$3.13, according to the Department of Agriculture, which is down from the $6.55 the week that President Trump took office. That's a decline of about 52%, not 87% or even 93 or 94, as we've heard from him. On day 100 of the president's second term and into his second presidency, he is declaring a success and also touting the tariffs that he's put in place, even as they've roiled the financial markets and created deep concern for many voters. My lead source tonight is the Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma, and it's great to have you here. Obviously, you're a huge ally of the president's. And now that he's 100 days in, and the economy seems to be a major focus for a lot of voters as they're looking at this. In that interview tonight, he talked about the 145% tariffs in place on China. He said he thinks China will actually end up eating most of that. Is that how you see it, though?
Well, I do. I think China has to have us. If you start looking at the economy is strong. Kaylin, I know the voters are looking at it. You got to remember, underneath President Biden's 4 years in office, he averaged inflation at 4.95%, nearly 5%, at a high of 9.1%. Today, inflation is down to 2.4%. You start talking about optimism inside the economy. We have 229,000 jobs created, 459,000 jobs went from part-time to full-time. We have private investment of $2 trillion that have been pledged to invest in the United States in the first 100 days of the presidency. We have foreign investments of $3 trillion. That's $5 trillion invested in our economy just in the first 100 days. People like to see what.
And by the way, that part is so underreported. Seeing so much foreign investment into the United States to build factories, to get jobs going. This is huge to create jobs and restabilize communities. You know, find a way to target these areas that have been just decimated by NAFTA, decimated by outsourcing. Rebuild some of these communities and maybe build some communities from scratch. But man, would it be great to take some of these former bustling towns that have just fallen by the wayside and revitalize them. I mean, I see President Trump working hard to try to make stuff like that happen. And I'm so appreciative of that, but it's not getting enough coverage. Every day we got to talk about Kilmar. No, we don't. We determine what's on the agenda. But we only determine what's on the agenda if we talk about stuff like this. Thank you, Mark Wayne Mullen.
What is going on right now? You have gas prices down 22%. And when you start.
Question of the day for the group. How are the gas prices for you where you're at? In Cape Cod, in Ontario? Well, shit. Yours is going to be weird, David. You're back. Well, per liter, I'll take a liter cola. What the hell's a liter cola? Give me a GG liter cola. Yeah, I think you sell your gasoline in liters, right? And you use kilometers. I don't know what you're doing up there. But how is the gasoline situation where you're at? I'm curious to know. Very curious to know.
We're talking to American people. They are excited about where our country is headed.
Also curious. Yeah, Larry. How's the diesel? Are you seeing prices down wherever you're at?
But if the numbers are as good as the president says they are, I mean, he's wildly exaggerating how much eggs are down. They're not down 87%. If they were, people would be paying 50 cents for a dozen of eggs, which obviously, you know that they're not.
The fact is they're down. And as I said, at the height.
Right, but why not just say exactly how much they're down?
Well, at the height, it was 9.1%. So it depends on what metric you're using. At 9.1%, they're down to 2.4% now. Inflation, that is a significant drop. That's not 50%. You're getting down to actual real numbers at that point. So it depends on which point you're talking about. We can discuss wherever we want to on the eggs of what source you want to say or at what time frame he may be referring to. The fact is,
and by the way, I will say my eggs are still super expensive. They're like $6 or $7 for good eggs. I don't want the shit eggs. I'm not super interested in the shit eggs. I want the pasture raised eggs. I notice such a difference. And if you know how they're fed and how they're kept and how they're handled, you wouldn't want the shit eggs either. But yeah, the good eggs are still as expensive as they've ever been. I will say that. The gas prices are down a little bit, but my vehicle's throwing up codes on me for, I don't know, something with the catalytic converter maybe. And most of the time, if I use the expensive gasoline, it burns cleaner, so it doesn't set off the sensor. So it goes on, it goes off. And I don't know. I'm not super interested in dropping $4,000 in to replace a couple of O2 sensors or catalytic converters on the vehicle at this moment. I'm just not. I'm not going to do it. So I am paying an extra $1 per gallon. So I'm not really seeing it, but I'm paying for a higher end product, but it's down a little bit. It's not down a ton. Bella's saying gas prices are bad, $2.89 a gallon. There you go. 4 liters in a gallon, $1.23 a liter. So, all right, that's $4.92 a liter, $4.92 a gallon. Am I doing that math right? $4.92 a gallon. Do you know what I'm hearing after? No, what are you after? Still a bit high. Paid $3.17 this morning. Yeah, and I'm paying like near $4 because it's like an extra $1 per gallon, which is going to be cheaper than $3,500 for catalytic converters that may or may not even fix the issue because it might just be a bit whatever. So I'm not seeing a massive decrease in these prices. I'll admit that. I will definitely say that.
Prices are down, and we see them.
But they're not down
continuously
as
dropping.
much as he's saying that they're down for eggs. So I'm saying if my
so let's use the math. What's 9.1% down to 2.4%? What's
I'm
the
saying if the
percentage?
numbers are as good as you think they are, and as you're arguing, and that's number from the agriculture department, why not just say they're down 52% or 53% instead of 87%?
It's interesting to me that we're focused on the price of eggs when we know it's down. What I don't remember hearing is when Biden was in office and inflation was not 9.1%, about you talking about how high the prices were, or anybody for that matter actually saying, okay, why is inflation at 9.1%?
And the Fed needs to cut the interest rates. I hate interest rates. I hate paying money. I hate wasting extra money on interest. I cannot stand it.
Why are we averaging 4.95, nearly 5% of inflation? Why is it in the first 100 days? That should be the conversation. Why is it in the first 100 days that the president was able to bring down inflation to 2.4% and have $5 trillion of investment inside the United States? Why wasn't that happening in the last 4 years of the Biden administration?
It's the polling that voters are not happy with where the economy's going. They don't feel good about the president's policies, and they think they're making the economy worse. Why do you think?
No. Obama's third term with the puppet Joe Biden destroyed the economy. Trump spent so many trillions. He's worse than all the other ones combined. Nah. The first term, all that COVID craziness, there's only so much you can blame on Trump for that. And he probably did spend too much. In the first budget that they're passing, just to get it behind them so that they can get the funding for the stuff that they need so they can implement the policies and the products and the procedures that they're working on. I understand spending a little bit more in year one. President Trump's not great at cutting spending, but you know what he did cut? He did great at cutting spending through Doge. I've never seen anybody do an audit of the entire federal government. And by the way, they didn't audit the entire federal government. They're just doing what they can, on a temporary basis with what they got. And they've done a fantastic job. I don't know that I've ever seen somebody cut like this. I will say there was a bipartisan effort with Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton back in the 90s. And it's like, the economy was booming. All right. If we're talking about $1, 100%, I'll give 25% credit to that bipartisan support with Newt Gingrich and the plan working to cut spending and reduce inflation and stuff. There was some of that. But a lot of that booming economy of the 90s was the personal computer revolution that put these brand new products in everybody's home, a PC. There was a huge boom the .com boom and all of that. So they didn't. I give them credit for not screwing the economy up all that much, but I don't really give them all of that credit for making it awesome. They did okay. Maybe not great, though. Bella's Chance saying, yes, our cage-free eggs are still, and not cage-free. Cage-free is a tricky term. Cage-free means these poor birds that are stuck in this little box, they can maybe move out into an area where they can dance in a circle and they're back in their box. Pasture raised is you're out in the pasture and you're rummaging for bugs and grubs, and you're eating through the stuff in the pasture. That's the stuff we're supposed to be having is the pasture raised. Yes, cage free would be better than completely locked in doing nothing like that. So I just I don't want the animals to be tortured. And if it's not pasture raised, it's some degree of torture, which I'm not a fan of. But anyway, not to put an egg purity test on everybody, but the yolks are much richer, much orangier, much orangier. Kind of like this. Yeah, the nutrients are denser. Like you get better nutrients out of pasture raised eggs, and that's what I want. If I want an egg, I want a real egg, please. But yeah, $8 a dozen. It's nuts. It's like $6-7 for me. What? My plums. The juicy plums. Take a bite. Have the juice running down your chin. Question of the day. What is that quote from? Eggs and plums. Cage-free eggs? Is that boxer shorts? Kenneth. My plums. Let him watch. I'm not playing the clip again. God, I mean, I used to play that clip all the time, and we've laughed about that a lot. Bella's Chance says, our blue state government is so busy spending millions housing illegals, they don't focus on high prices. What is going on with that Massachusetts mayor, that Boston mayor? Why is she not indicted? Or, although I got a story coming up about Tom Homan, he might be indicting you soon, indicting the people soon. We shall see. I think it's about ready to happen.
That is.
Well, I would go, what demographic are they polling? Who are they talking to? Because when I'm talking to people in Oklahoma, or I'm talking to people in Texas, or I'm talking to people in Alabama, or wherever I'm traveling to, which granted I'm traveling to red states, they're very optimistic about where we're headed to.
I'm optimistic.
They're excited about what's happening inside the country. And I think investors are that way too, as I go back to it. In the first 100 days, we've had $5 trillion pledged to invest inside the United States. Why weren't they doing that underneath the Biden administration?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the CNN polling. It was, I think, the sample that they surveyed, it was more Republicans than it was Democrats, and then a lot of independents in there as well.
Caitlin, numbers don't lie. Polling, you can skew however you want to. When I restate these numbers again, inflation is down to 2.4%. We're an average of 4.95%, 5% underneath the Biden administration.
Yeah, inflation is down.
9.1%. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but when you have $5 trillion pledged of investment in the first 100 days, I believe the investors, I believe the job creators, those that create the jobs, that hire the individuals, I think it speaks for themselves. When you have 459,000 jobs that were part-time just 100 days ago, today they're full-time, I believe the economy is moving in the right direction. And so we should be talking about what has happened in the first 100 days. Why is it that the President Trump was able to do this and Biden couldn't?
Yeah, thank you. Just keep focusing on that. Why is it so obvious that Biden was doing nothing to help America? Is this the same video that I saw earlier? Let me double check.
Let's just take a moment, number one, to express our gratitude to El Salvador for agreeing to take some of the most dangerous terrorists off of America's streets and to put them into a safe environment where they cannot continue to engage in acts of terrorism or coordination with the Maduro regime.
Anyway, yes, this he continues saying that you wouldn't want to live, right?
You may have seen recently an FBI assessment that was unclassified that said that the Maduro regime is using.
Oh no, maybe this is different. Maduro regime is using people for assassinations.
And planning to use trained Nicaragua terrorists to carry out assassination plots on American soil.
You mean like Seth Rich because he exposed the DNC rigging the 2016 nomination away from Bernie Sanders, who the people wanted, for your deep state demonic asset, Hillary Clinton?
Now, very few in this room covered that. I'll let you all ask yourselves why you didn't cover it and why your editors didn't assign that story to you. Something I think you should think about on your own. But this is a earth-shattering piece of news. The Biden administration imported a terrorist army that our own FBI assesses.
Imported a terrorist army. Thank you. Nancy here in the comments is saying Stephen Miller is from Santa Monica, California, born into a liberal family, and now they're all conservatives. Is that real? I don't know. But I like this guy. He's a very effective communicator.
Is planning assassination strikes on American soil against critics of the Maduro regime. Those are the terrorists that President Trump is finding and apprehending that our Democrat judges and Democrat activists are trying to keep on U.S. soil. Trained Nicaragua has the same legal status as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. MS-13 has the same legal status as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. These are foreign terrorists operating on our soil. And our gratitude to El Salvador for agreeing to take custody of these terrorists is immense. With respect to the case that you mentioned, there's now even been more evidence that has been made public of this person's violent, repeated threats and assaults against his spouse. Someone who had repeated, documented human trafficking and human smuggling offenses. Somebody that has extensively documented membership in MS-13, a terrorist organization. This is a person that was a clear and present danger to the safety of the American people. And it is a sad reflection on the state of our media and many of the outlets represented in this room that you obsessively try to shill for this MS-13 terrorist. Well, no coverage occurred in your papers about any of the Americans that were raped and tortured and murdered by the illegals that Biden was importing into our country. You know, you talk about due process. The Biden administration made the decision to give extensive due process to two trained Nicaragua terrorists that were apprehended at the border just a couple years ago. They were two gentlemen. They were from Venezuela. They were members of trained Nicaragua. The Biden administration Border Patrol apprehended them and made the decision to provide them with extensive due process, put them onto a program known as supervised release, and put them on ankle monitors so that they could go through a lengthy legal judicial determination as to whether these legal aliens who had just set foot on U.S. soil might want to live in the United States for the rest of their lives. What was the result of that decision? What was the result of that choice that was made? Those two men kidnapped a young girl named Jocelyn Ungary from her family. They beat her, they sexually assaulted her, they tortured her, they stripped her, they murdered her, and they dumped her body. That is what the Biden administration's policy was. Most of your papers never covered her story when it happened. To the extent that you covered it at all, it was because President Trump forced you to cover it by highlighting it repeatedly over and over again.
They ignore all of these things that should be nationwide outrages against the Obama doctrine of opening up our borders through Joe Biden's puppet presidency.
To shame you in
residency.
To covering it. And each and every one of you that sides over and over.
Okay, so this was the longer version of what I play. I think this is the clip that I played here.
Over again with these MS-13 terrorists. To the extent that you have the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offered any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to pay in any of these gang neighborhoods, and I said your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or trained Nicaragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you, with your coverage, are trying to force innocent Americans to have these people as their neighbors, and that one day their daughter may be abducted from their home and raped and murdered. So you're not going to get an ounce of sympathy from this administration or President Trump for the terrorists who've invaded our homes and our country.
Stephen Miller's great. That guy is incredible. Kyle Becker says, I'd have to guess about 95% of Americans who mainstream media call far right. By the way, that's why I don't use the term far right. And please don't use it either. Don't use their language. I'd have to guess about 95% of Americans who mainstream media. Okay, I don't use the term mainstream media either. This is tough. I call them lying legacy media. Our words matter. So let me rephrase this. I'd have to guess about 95% of Americans who lying legacy media call far right. They only want to work for a living, keep most of their money, raise their kids in peace, give them a good education without left-wing indoctrination, own a nice home and be left alone. You know, extremists. Ahmed Y says the media realize they can't take down Donald Trump, so they're trying to ruin the reputation of Hegseth, Musk, and RFK. They'll do anything to deter our mission from making America great again. Yep, negative coverage, 100% negative from the Media Research Center on Hegseth, 96% negative on Elon, 89% negative on RFK. You don't hate the lying legacy media enough. They're getting a lot of things right. And the constant hate, it's just stupid, disingenuous, manipulative. Stephen Moore reacting to the jobs.
36,000 increase in the number of people who are employed.
That's 436,000 increase.
So this is an amazing report.
Dow Jones up to 41.1, NASDAQ up to 20. S&P 56.6.
The number of people, the labor force participation rate rose. So this is a really strong number. I wanted to
41.3. It's up 500, about 600 points today. Let's go year to date. Stock market's down 2%. It's been up since that panic. Just about the same from where it was. Down 2.4%, 2.5%. Where did that tab go?
About 2 weeks ago, every headline, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post, was, the stock market is crashing. And since then, the market has been up, like 2,800 points.
Yeah,
so,
well, you don't see that
by the way, I don't see headlines about that.
Yeah, it's a stock market roars up 2,800 points. They'll only show you one side. You don't hate the lying legacy media enough.
That was the point.
Oh my God. You got 7 people on a panel here? Oh, that's the stuff of nightmare fuel.
Scott Bessent made. Yeah, Scott Bessent made the same point yesterday. That
exactly, he made that point. But 436.
Anyway, that's really good news. We showed this yesterday. Chuck Schumer. Polls show President Trump has the worst 100-day approval rating. That's not true either. Reporter. But yours is lower at 17%, polls show. Well, polls come and go. Don't worry about it. Ugh, what a loser. Yep, Ukraine has officially signed Trump's mineral deal. I need to get the details. I feel like the devil could be in the details on that. It says they're not going to have to pay back all that money we spent on them, all the billions. Why not? Hundreds of billions. Why not? This is just stupid and funny. Cats with hard hats. I'm on a very specific diet. Caffeine and microplastics. I don't know. Not newsworthy, but it's kind of funny, right? And it's sad, but thank you for RFK for addressing microplastics and trying to get to our food and air and water supply. That was just silly and funny. What were they doing with our taxpayer money? Jesse Waters asks Elon Musk.
That's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
Yes. They were basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes.
Leasing stadiums.
Leasing stadiums.
For what?
For parties, basically.
For parties.
Yes.
That's a big party.
It's a big party.
You'd think if you were stealing, you'd start small.
They do start small. But then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud, it gets more and more brazen. And every year it gets bigger.
And I think with Obama, everything got super brazen because he thought he was invincible. He thought he was America's golden child, untouchable, and he did unthinkable acts of treason. It's all, Lord willing, going to come back and he's going to face accountability and justice for his actions. Perfect analogy to what Obama's been up to. He thought he could get away with running the puppet regime with fake Biden up there. Oh, man. Lord willing, there's going to be justice.
Until they're literally renting out stadiums. What's
$1 million to rent out a stadium?
Fraud in flagrante delicto, okay? We're talking at scale. It's interesting.
They were renting.
Wasting your money, people. President Trump is saying gasoline just broke $1.98 a gallon. Where is that? Lowest in years. Groceries and eggs down. Energy down. Mortgage rates down. All right, well, my mortgage rates aren't down. And by the way, can't we normalize that shit? Can't we normalize if the rates go down, you'll just automatically have your rates removed? Have your rates readjusted to something sane? Instead of spending thousands of dollars to have to beg to, hey, can I modify my mortgage with you? It's holy shit. I had to move. I had to get my mortgage went up so much because I had to refinance for reasons. 6 point something percent from 3 point something. It went up. I am pissing away so many hundreds of extra dollars for nothing, for no good reason. No good reason. I am pissing away hundreds of extra dollars for these awful mortgage rates. So President Trump's like, oh, mortgage rates are down. Not for me. They're double from what it was when I got this place. It's a long story and there's backstory, but why can't the interest rates automatically just be dropped to the best available rate instead of going through a million pages of documents and I need a notary public to sign things and I got to find a fax machine now. Like, all right, I'm going to fax you documents. Are we living in the 40s? Anyway, he just said mortgage rates are down. For who? Employment is strong, and much more good news as billions of dollars pour in from tariffs. Just like I said, we're only in a transition stage, just getting started. Consumers have been waiting for years to see the pricing come down. No inflation, and the Fed should lower its rate. Yeah. But people carrying mortgages should have automatic rate reductions. Oh, you were a mortgage broker. Yes, heavy fees involved. It's ridiculous. Bella saying Ukraine's mineral deal includes U.S. continuing military aid and ties us to that ungodly country. Is that what it was? Because I thought it was saying that they don't have to pay back for all of the hundreds of billions that Biden flushed down the toilet over there. But it also does not lock the United States into being a security force for Ukraine. I read that was a very big sticking point, but I'll admit I could do a much deeper dive on that topic for sure. RFK talking to Jesse Waters, Maha, on food dyes. So Jesse Waters is talking with him, and RFK says, an American teenager today has less testosterone than a 68-year-old man. Sperm counts are down 50%. Jesse Waters says, wait, an American teenager has less testosterone than a 68-year-old man? That's right. Okay, there's a big problem there. Big problem. Russell Brand telling you about a big problem in Europe. He says, dear Americans, imagine this for a moment. What if 15 to 20 U.S. states were overrun by gangs who were R-ing adults and children every single day, abusing them? Now imagine if Trump never addressed it, never spoke about it, or acknowledged it. That's what's happening in Britain right now.
At least 50 towns are affected by rape gangs. Places like Peterborough, Derby, Birmingham, Nottingham, Leicester, Rotherham, Rochdale and Preston.
It's weird that when it comes to the rape gang crisis, they're not listing individual victims, which is bad enough. They're listing principalities and towns. Imagine this was your country and someone was saying, we're talking about Massachusetts, we're talking about Texas, we're talking about Wyoming. What's going on in the United Kingdom? And why is anyone that's willing to speak about this stuff apparently turned into a pariah? I'm certainly not talking about myself in this instance. I'm talking about like Tommy Robinson, who, let's face it, is a divisive individual, but he's currently in
Everybody's divisive.
Jail in the UK for contempt of court precisely because he spoke about this rape gang crisis. It seems to me part of some broad berserker plan to destabilize the Western and particularly Anglophonic world, and in particular, yet more particular, Christendom, to bewilder us. So we have
at least 50.
So yeah, rise up, Europe. You have been invaded and overthrown. Yeah, Bella saying, ooh, that hurts. Mortgages and property taxes to kill. Yeah, holy shit. I mean, I pay whatever I pay each month, and I just made a payment a couple days ago, and my God, 1/15, 1/10 of what I pay is for the actual principal. Most of it is on bullshit interest. Oh, sir, please, may I pay a mortgage? May I please? Now I'm trying to talk like Russell Brand here. It's insane. All wasted money. All that interest is bullshit. All garbage payments, theft, usury. Oh, I hate, But yeah, my interest rate ended up doubling because of reasons. And oh my God, every month I write that check or make that payment. I'm just, because it didn't used to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. It is just effing theft. Anyway, I could go on a rabbit hole about that. Touched a nerve on that one. I didn't realize just how much it annoys me. All right, we're going to do rapid fire around here. We're going to go into our X feed at American_media_ and share with you this. Liz Churchill, this is a conversation with Tulsi Gabbard.
Reversed. So it's a lot of what's been found is already there. But
this is about confirming biological weapons labs in Ukraine and connecting it to the evil Dr. Fauci.
The thing that we are working with Jay Bhattacharya, the new NIH director, on with, as well as Secretary Kennedy, is looking at the gain-of-function research that in the case of the Wuhan lab, as well as many of these other biolabs around the world, was actually U.S. funded and leads to this dangerous kind of research that in many examples has resulted in
because we already know that EcoHealth is partnering with this Wuhan lab to do gain-of-function research.
That's right.
Somebody say, it was that exact experiment that led to this COVID bug. But have we gotten there? What's the new thing that you're digging in on?
We are working on that with Jay Bhattacharya and look forward to being able to share that hopefully very soon.
Okay.
That specific
link,
correct, between the gain-of-function research and what we saw with COVID-19.
I mean, that would be extraordinary because just so the audience knows, if that's true, if it was Peter Daszak's research with the Wuhan so-called bat lady that caused this pandemic, then we did fund it. Then Anthony Fauci helped fund the pandemic.
The thing that he denied over and over and over to Senator Rand Paul's questioning.
That's right, under oath.
Under oath, exactly. So is it any wonder that he sought a preemptive pardon for anything during a certain period of time by President Biden before he left office?
And then strong-armed and smeared people like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, anybody who came out and said, I don't know if that's natural. This actually smacks of lab.
And the reason why this is so important is not
just don't call it a lab leak, call it a lab release. I feel this was intentional, and you can't. It's up to them to prove this was accidental. They lied for years saying, "Oh, it just happened in nature. Oh, it's just bat soup. It was because of bat soup." These freaking liars.
Just what happened in the past. It's because this gain-of-function research is happening in biolabs around the world. I got attacked, and I think you saw this. We've probably talked about it on your show before, when I warned against U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine when the Russia-Ukraine war kicked off for this very reason. Who knows what kinds of pathogens are in these labs, and if released, could create another COVID-like pandemic. And for that, I was called a Russian asset. You're, trumpeting Putin's talking points, all of this nonsense, simply for speaking the truth and stating facts that, by the way, are still on U.S. Embassy Ukraine's website today about how the U.S. has funded these biolabs in Ukraine. But my point is, in order to prevent another COVID-like pandemic or another major health incident that could affect us in the world, we have to end this gain of function research and provide the evidence that shows exactly why and how it's in our best interest, the American people's best interest, to bring about an end to it.
Can I just ask you one other question on that? Why did
We have to bring an end to this. And they've been lying about it the whole damn time.
the intelligence community, why were they so reluctant to just say that? You know, under Joe Biden, they were split. The FBI eventually said, well, we kind of think it was a lab, and the Department of Energy said lab. But then the other agencies were like, no, we think more now.
Because oh, doggone it, I clicked the...
Why and how?
They were split. The FBI eventually said, well, we kind of think it was...
Because it put their fingerprints all over it, and they wanted to avoid culpability. And then when they're pushing for the resolution how they wanted, well, it's like, okay, now it seems like you started this, and now you're going to benefit financially from you caused the problem, and now you're giving us a solution for money. Seems like you're up to your eyeballs in it.
The lab, and the Department of Energy said lab. But then the other agencies were like, no, we think more natural origin, long past the point when it did not look like natural origin. They tested 80 or 90,000 animals. They never found this version of the virus. So what was going on with the intel community there?
It's a good question, and I don't have a specific answer to it, but I want to point to the contrast of how in some cases they are very unwilling to come to express a view or a certain opinion on something, and in other cases, even if they don't have decisive or conclusive evidence per se, they're very quickly to come to an assumption. And this gets to the real heart of the challenge here, and the problems that we've seen is the politicization of intelligence to meet a certain objective or to influence a certain policy. And that is what has been the problem. This goes all the way back to why this organization was founded. When you look at the so-called intelligence that really was used to spur the Iraq regime change war, and look at what that has cost our country in lives, in treasure. Look at what it's cost the world. Look at what Iraq is today, now essentially a proxy of Iran, when Iraq, that would not have happened.
There you go, the whole Iran thing.
Had that regime change war not occurred.
That's right.
So again, this is
There's a lot of Iran rumblings right now. I'm a little concerned about it with Hegseth and whatnot, but they are funding the Houthis, and they were funding Hamas and Hezbollah, right? I think. Is that right? It was what I meant to say. Is that right? I'm not encouraging you to believe what I believe. There's a difference in when I say right. It's a question mark.
Really what is at the heart of what needs to be addressed within the intelligence community, and why leadership matters so much.
Just as a reminder to our audience, you were a young 21-year-old.
Anyway, let's go get Fauci, please. Check out this video.
From Portland, Oregon, and they drove into the Palisades fire scene in a decommissioned fire truck.
This is shared from Wall Street Apes. Have you ever heard this story? They drove into the fire area with decommissioned fire trucks.
They had emblazoned this fire truck with the name Rolling River Fire Department.
Were they there like from minute one?
All I know is that they got into the scene 2 days in a row before they were stopped and arrested.
Whoa!
I don't know if they burnt it down. We do know that they were acting suspiciously in
Potentially the arsonists? Is that what they're saying?
the fire zone.
Portland, Oregon couple found at the scene in a fake fire truck. The husband was a convicted arsonist. The wife is a National Weather Service wind and fire expert who teaches climate change issues. There's something very large at play in the Palisades fire. There was
on a fake fire truck. Turns out the woman is a National Weather Service wind and fire expert who teaches juvenile delinquents climate change issues. They make rap songs called weather slaps, and some of the lyrics go like, wait until you see it all burn. And her husband, the guy behind the wheel, is a convicted arsonist who burned down country clubs and rich people's houses in a small town in Oregon.
Holy shit.
They were eco-terrorists. So I am convinced that this is an act of eco-terrorism.
That's insane to me.
That's an allegation, and that is wild. So let's look into the cause of that. Just a sports story we put up here. Nick Chubb, superhero. Oh, man, I really want to play this to you. This is I don't want to get a copyright strike, but I'm providing commentary on it. I should be able to play this. Go on our X feed and just watch this. It's 1:03. You know what? Trey Parker and Matt Stone do some of the best political commentary on earth. I'm going to talk about this because they, through their comedy, are pointing out what the federal government under Biden have been doing with the Obama doctrine. And it's astonishing. I'm playing it because we need to talk about this. So this is outside of Immigrations and Customs. We're thrilled you've come out to help and adopt.
We're thrilled you've come to help out and adopt. The parents of the children inside have all been deported, but the kids are legal citizens.
What a conundrum, huh?
Since they were born in the United States. Mr. and Mrs. White, yes, we've all heard about your tragic loss.
So there they are, trying to place the children of deported people into homes of adopters. These are the whites.
Love to help out however I can. Is there something specific you're looking for?
We don't really know.
They had a tragic loss, and they're not sure how to rebuild their family.
We've got all kinds here, depending on your preferences. Here's a little Panamanian. They're very clean. This is a Colombian short hair, and this is a good one. This is a Baja Shepherd.
Oh my goodness.
Quiero mi papá, quiero mi mamá.
Bien, gracias, ¿y tú? Oh.
It just says bien, gracias, y tú. Good God.
Oh, honey, look at the Peruvian hairless. Yes, they're pretty silly looking. Great with kids, though. Hey, what's this little guy?
It's you get what's going on here.
Oh, this is a purebred Mexican. He's had all his shots. Parents were deported 2 weeks ago.
Human trafficking from Joe Biden, border czar Kamala Harris, Xavier Becerra, Mayorkas, who's the other guy? Anyway, the whole Biden regime, the puppet regime of the third Obama term. This is what we've ended up with. Yeah, AOC wants to do a kids in cages thing. No. You've been trafficking children. You have no right to say anything about this.
Here, we can let him run around a little bit.
Mi familia, ¿dónde estás?
Bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Oh.
My family, where are they? Well, thank you. Bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? Well, thank you. And you?
Bobby's kind of perfect.
Hello, little fellow. How would you like to be a white?
I've got to watch this episode of South Park. Fun story. One of my buddies, I was with him. We were having barbecue and he got a phone call. We were just discussing a South Park episode. And when we sat down and we were grabbing a bite to eat, he licensed his January 6th footage to South Park so that they could use it in their season finale episode a year or two ago. That was incredible. Let's go check that one out. May Day protests. Yeah, they paid organizers. What else did I want to talk? I got a lot to talk about. Maine legislature banned Representative Laurel Libby from speaking and voting for opposing men competing in women's sports. So now it's up in the Supreme Court. They've disallowed her from participating in government. Oh, I was just talking to the producer that works with this lady. What's her name? Is that her name? CB Cotton? This girl? Yeah, I met her producer and sent their producer a text today, actually. Well, that's a small world. You know, isn't it weird that I seem to know a lot of people in a lot of these organizations. Really, maybe it is time that I join one of these organizations. I've never really thought about it. But maybe I should. Get better reach, better pay. Thousands of students show up at UC San Diego for Charlie Kirk in Deep Blue, California. That's good. Fernandez de la Paz, a Cuban national in our country illegally arrested for shooting and ending a man in Texas. He was under FBI investigation for credit card skimming scheme, also involved in another murder case. He wasn't deported despite ICE lodging 2 requests. In 2019, a judge ordered him removed, but Cuba refused to accept him. Straight to CCOT. Why aren't we protecting Americans? Gunther Eagleman says this is Judge Jessica Hedges, who released suspected Tesla firebomber, citing ADHD and no access to gender-affirming care, instead of getting treatment for gender dysphoria, which would probably be much more effective. Our justice system is broken. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt brought her baby to the Oval Office, humanizing children in front of the most powerful people in the world. Children aren't burdens, they're the future. Joe Rogan says CNN is the right arm of Pfizer. CNN says, no, we aren't. That's misinformation. Also CNN, Albert Bourla of Pfizer is the CNN Business CEO of the Year. Oh, is he? Oh, is he? USDA and Secretary Brooke Rollins announced a portal for farmers, ranchers, and producers that if you're being harassed by federal or state agencies, you go on the portal and you've essentially got a direct line to the top, to Secretary Rollins. This portal is going to be a big deal. Awesome news. Feeling pretty confident about where we're going. Anna Paulina Luna calls out Adam Schiff and enters into the record the $32 million Schiff misappropriated during the Russia collusion hoax. He knew it was fake, and they stole all this money to run their scam. All right, so it's on the record. Now, how do you go get that $32 million? This is a fun little meltdown about illegal aliens, and Anna says there's a hell of a lot of people out there other than the black people who were brought here as slaves who came to this country illegally. This dude says they are not the same as black people who were brought here against our will. And that's when she choked up, almost like she was about to cry. That's exactly what I just said. Last time I checked, I'm black, you're not. I'm Latino, and my people are being racially profiled. I mean, we're essentially watching the victim Olympics here.
Okay. I think you misheard what she said.
No, Michael.
And
Look and act indignant. That's exactly what I just said.
Acting let me just share Michael.
Other than the black
Anna and share Michael.
There are a lot of people.
Enjoy CNN, people. Ann Vandersteel is mentioning in the matter of the Ashley Babbitt execution regarding U.S. Capitol Police Lieutenant Michael Byrd on January 6th. She was unarmed. Byrd has faced no criminal charges or disciplinary action. It reeks of a cover-up. And there needs to be an investigation. And how about some justice there? Check this out here. This is Alex.
Bring out the truth about COVID, and that it was not just made in a lab in China. It was made by Obama and Fauci and the globalists, which is already on record. So we don't have Tulsi Gabbard, the head of national intelligence, saying, oh, we're going to expose the Chinese did it because they weren't the ones. No, it was Obama and Fauci and the globalists, and we're getting ready to bring it all out and indict them. We already have all the proof, but she's got the internal secret documents from the CIA meetings with Fauci.
Let's go get them. Watch that full report if you wish. Fauci saying we had a collaboration with some Chinese scientists. Yeah, Chinese communists. Gaina Fauci. Juanita Broderick is pointing this out. This is Islam. Women standing on a hot beach in stupid garb while a husband and son enjoy the wet water. She says Islam does not belong in America. Do you agree or disagree? Elron Hubbub says, that's a great name. Trump's pronunciation of Houthis might even be more iconic than his China. Here's Ilhan Omar saying the quiet part out loud.
We are fighting back every single day.
We are fighting back every single day.
We are fighting back every single day. We are fighting to protect immigrant families from mass detention and deportation.
Okay. Fighting to protect illegals from being deported. No, I said immigrant. I did not say illegals. This was nice. CNN actually had to air this. They're like, haha, gotcha. What do you say about this?
You don't deserve to be here because you're not a real journalist. What's your response to them?
It's Natalie Winters from, was she on War Room with Real America's Voice?
Well, I'm pretty sure the group of people in there spent, 4 years covering for someone who was essentially dead, and that's being charitable in my description of him, a president by the name of Joe Biden. So to all those people who are apoplectic over having new media voices, you guys failed, and that's why we're here.
And Donnie joins me. Now, what else stood out to you?
You don't deserve.
You failed, which is why we're here. The old American media failed, which is why the new American media exists. So yeah, you did this to yourselves. An email from a former, well, here, I'll just let Fox News tell you what they're saying here.
Some have alleged they misused donations in the wake of the 2010 earthquake, an allegation stemming from their former Clinton Foundation employee, Doug Band. He wrote in this email released by WikiLeaks that the foundation used resources to pay for Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Now, Bill Clinton responding, tweeting, quote, no Clinton Foundation funds dedicated to Haiti or otherwise used to pay for Chelsea's wedding. It's not only untrue, it's a personal insult to me and Hillary and to Chelsea and Mark. Chelsea's wedding was in 2010, the same year as the Haiti earthquake. Some have alleged they misused donations in the wake of the 2000.
All right, so keep your eyes peeled on that. Roger Stone says vengeance is not coming. Justice is coming. Oh, Tom Homan, I alluded to this earlier. Listen to this. He's asked, why don't you just arrest sanctuary city leaders? Remember I was saying about the Boston mayor? Why don't you just arrest them that they're harboring and shielding illegals from deportation? He says.
So the president signed an executive order just this week threatening to defund sanctuary cities for their policies. Why not just arrest the leaders who are harboring and shielding illegal aliens, actually terrorists, from deportation?
Wait to see what's coming.
So the president.
Wait until you see what's coming. What else? Arrested a guy on an F1 student visa who pled guilty to child abuse. Good riddance, dirtbag. They're talking about glyphosates and why you might have a gluten issue. It might not be gluten. It might be the glyphosates, the poison in it. So here, RFK Jr. This was the headline, but I did cover this yesterday. He is our cover story of the day. But just to recap what RFK Jr. had to say about Health and Human Services, it's so bad.
We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration. We have ended.
This is what's been going on under Biden. The child sniffing, Ashley Biden showering allegedly person. Good riddance, all of you, and hopefully justice is coming. Not vengeance, justice. All right. That is the program that I have for you today. Thank you all for watching. Please follow us in all the places underneath. Search the New American Media on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. We're on X at American_media_. Subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and Apple. And then we're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. And if anybody wants to toss anything into our tip jar, our donation links are here. We're on Patreon at The New American Media, Venmo at Brian Engelman, Cash App $ Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment, all scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Thank you to Bella and Kenneth and David and everybody else in the chat. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care.